Don't miss the awesome Naruto stories my sister creates. Her last channel was hacked, so to stay in the loop, please subscribe to her new channel. It would mean a lot to her, and you won't regret it. Dear Naruto Lemon fans, I'm thrilled to invite all of you to my Boosty channel, where you can enjoy exclusive Naruto Lemon scenes in a comfortable and supportive community. Choose from various subscription tiers, from Mini Lemon to God Lemon, and gain access to unique content tailored just for our fans. Plus, subscribers to over Naruto Lemon and God Lemon will receive special mentions in my videos. Support my channel and dive deeper into the world of Naruto today. Dare! My story. Chapter 1, The Awakening of a Genius. The sun peeked over the rooftops of Konoha, bathing the village in a warm golden hue. Villagers bustled about, shopkeepers shouted out their wares, and the occasional shinobi leapt across the buildings on their morning rounds. Amidst the noise and life of the village, one boy walked the streets, his head lowered and his hands stuffed in his pockets. His blonde hair glinted in the sunlight, but the heavy look in his blue eyes dimmed the brightness of his appearance. Naruto Uzumaki felt the weight of the world pressing on him. Another day in the academy, another round of ridicule. No one took him seriously, not his classmates, not the teachers, not even the villagers. He kicked a small stone, watching it roll into the gutter. They'll never stop seeing me as a failure, unless I show them I'm more. When Naruto arrived at the academy, the chatter among the students dimmed. Whispers followed him like a shadow. Ignoring them, he slumped into his usual seat at the back of the classroom. Iruka-sensei began his lesson on chakra basics, but Naruto's mind wandered. No matter how much I try, it's like something is holding me back. What's wrong with me? Naruto. Iruka's sharp voice snapped him back to reality. Huh? Oh, yeah. I was paying attention, Iruka-sensei, believe me. Naruto flailed his arms in protest, earning the snickers of his classmates. Iruka sighed, rubbing his temples. At the end of class, he called Naruto to stay behind. Listen, Naruto, Iruka said, his tone softening. Do you know why you're struggling with the basics? It's not because you're incapable. It's because you're not focusing on yourself. You work hard, but you don't stop to understand your own potential. Chakra isn't just energy, it's part of you. Start by listening to it. Those words lingered in Naruto's mind for the rest of the day. That night, unable to sleep, he sat cross-legged on his small bed. He shut his eyes, trying to feel his chakra like Iruka suggested. But instead of clarity, he felt a strange coldness sweep over him. The sensation was unsettling yet oddly familiar. And then he heard it, a low, feminine chuckle echoing in his head. Heh. Took you long enough, kid. Naruto's eyes snapped open, but he wasn't in his room anymore. He stood in a vast, dimly lit space. Ahead of him loomed a giant cage with glowing bars, each inscribed with intricate seals. Behind the bars, something shifted, and two massive, fiery eyes locked onto him. Who's there? Naruto shouted, his voice trembling. From the shadows stepped a figure, a young woman with long, wild crimson hair that flowed like molten fire. Her fox-like ears twitched, and a sly smile played on her lips. Despite her intimidating aura, there was something strikingly captivating about her. She wore a sleek outfit that hinted at power, confidence, and a dangerous edge. I'm Kurama, she said, her voice a sultry blend of amusement and authority. The nine tails sealed inside you. And apparently, my vessel finally decided to pay me a visit. Naruto's jaw dropped. You're the nine tails. But you're a girl? Kurama raised a delicate brow, her sharp teeth flashing in a smirk. surprised? Did you think I was just some mindless beast? Humans. She crossed her arms, her 9 tails swaying lazily behind her. And what's with that look, brat? Never seen a beautiful fox before? Naruto's face turned bright red, and he stammered, who's looking at you like that? I'm just, surprised, that's all. Kurama snickered, leaning against one of the cage bars. Relax, kid. I'm not here to bite, yet. Naruto gulped, his thoughts racing. She's terrifying, but also kinda cool. Why are you talking to me now? He asked, trying to steady his voice. Kurama's golden eyes softened, though her grin didn't falter. Because you're finally worth talking to. You're not like the others, those useless humans who only see me as a weapon. You've got potential, brat. You just don't know it yet. Naruto blinked. Potential? Me? Yes, you, Kurama said, flicking her tail with a playful snap. But don't get cocky. If you want my power, you're gonna have to prove yourself. I don't just hand out my strength like candy. Naruto clenched his fists, determination sparking in his eyes. Fine. I'll prove it to you. I'll show you I'm not some loser. Kurama chuckled again, her sharp teeth gleaming. We'll see, kid. We'll see. Over the next few days, Naruto threw himself into his training with renewed vigor. He practiced chakra control with an intensity that left his classmates baffled. While the other students struggled to keep up, Naruto began to stand out. His shadow clone jutsu, once a source of ridicule, became a tool for strategic brilliance. Kurama, watching from within, couldn't help but be amused. This brat. He's clumsy, but he's got heart. Despite herself, she started giving him pointers, her voice dripping with mockery. Too much chakra in your hands, idiot. You're gonna blow something up. Focus, moron. You're not aiming at the clouds. Why am I even helping him? She wondered, her ears twitching with annoyance. This kid is too stubborn for his own good. But every time Naruto succeeded, he would flash a grin so bright and genuine that Kurama found herself smiling in return, though she'd never admit it. One night, as Naruto lay exhausted on his bed, he whispered, "Thanks, Kurama-chan. I couldn't do this without you." Inside the cage, Kurama's ears perked up, and her cheeks flushed a faint pink. What's with this kid? Why does he make me feel soft? She shook her head, muttering, "Don't get used to it, brat." By the end of the week, Naruto's progress was undeniable. Even Iruka noticed the change. After a particularly impressive demonstration in class, he pulled Naruto aside. "You've improved a lot," Iruka said, his voice filled with pride. "What's your secret?" Naruto scratched the back of his head, laughing awkwardly. Let's just say I had some help." From within, Kurama snorted. "Some help? More like you'd be lost without me, you little fool." As Naruto walked home that evening, he felt a warmth he hadn't known before. For the first time, he wasn't alone. Kurama's presence, though sarcastic and teasing, had become a source of comfort. Inside his mind, Kurama smirked. This kid. Maybe he's not so bad after all. And thus began the journey of Naruto Uzumaki and Kurama-chan, a journey that would change not only their lives but the fate of the entire world. Chapter 2, The First Steps Toward Mastery. Naruto woke up with the first rays of sunlight streaming through his small apartment window. He stretched and yawned, feeling a mix of soreness and determination from the previous day's training. Today was going to be different. He wasn't just Naruto Uzumaki, the academy troublemaker, he was a shinobi in the making, and he was going to prove to Kurama that he wasn't just some brat stumbling through life. Inside his mind, Kurama stirred, her voice laced with amusement as she teased him. "You're unusually energetic this morning. What's the occasion?" Naruto grinned as he pulled on his jacket. Today, I'm going to make you eat your words. You'll see, Kurama-chan, I'll get better at chakra control, and I won't stop until I've mastered it. Kurama snickered, her golden eyes gleaming with humor. Big talk for someone who couldn't keep a flame steady for 5 minutes yesterday. But sure, entertain me. Let's see what you've got. Naruto marched out to the training grounds, the crisp morning air filling his lungs as he arrived at the familiar clearing. It was quiet except for the occasional rustling of leaves and the chirping of birds. Perfect. He sat cross-legged on the ground, closing his eyes and focusing on the warmth of his chakra flowing through him. Kurama's voice echoed in his mind, steady but challenging. Remember, brat, control isn't about brute strength. Your chakra isn't some wild beast you can wrestle into submission. It's part of you. Treat it like a partner, not an enemy. Naruto furrowed his brow, trying to picture his chakra as the steady flame Kurama had described. Slowly, he felt the energy within him flicker to life. It wasn't easy, his mind kept drifting, and the flame wavered every time his concentration slipped. Gah! Why is this so hard? He muttered, shaking his head. Because you're an impatient fool who doesn't know how to sit still, Kurama said with a mocking laugh. Focus, idiot, or you'll just embarrass yourself again. Naruto scowled, heat rising to his cheeks. I'm focusing. Just give me a minute. Kurama's laughter softened into something almost affectionate as she watched him struggle. This kid. He's frustrating, but he doesn't give up. I'll give him that. Hours passed, and Naruto's persistence began to pay off. The flame in his mind grew steadier, more controlled, until he could maintain it without losing focus. A triumphant grin spread across his face as he opened his eyes, sweat dripping down his forehead. Ha! Did you see that, Kurama-chan? I did it. Don't get too full of yourself, kid, Kurama replied, though there was a hint of pride in her voice. You've passed the baby steps. Now comes the real work. Naruto stood up, stretching his arms. Bring it on. I'm ready for anything. Kurama's tails swished lazily behind her as she considered his next challenge. Alright, let's see if you can split your chakra evenly between 3 clones. If you can't manage that, then all this progress is pointless. Naruto's eyes widened. 3 clones? Evenly? That's insane. I can barely make one that doesn't look lopsided. Exactly why we're practicing, Kurama said, her tone daring. Or are you scared to try? Naruto's determination flared, and he formed the hand seals for the shadow clone jutsu. Concentrating on the steady flame inside him, he focused on dividing his chakra equally among 3 clones. With a burst of energy, the clones appeared, but one immediately popped out of existence, while the other 2 looked dazed and wobbly. Ugh, come on. Naruto groaned, frustration bubbling to the surface. Kurama's laughter rang out, bright and unrestrained. Ha ha ha. That was pathetic. You looked like you were trying to juggle watermelons with chopsticks. Naruto's face turned red with embarrassment, and he clenched his fists. Why you don't have to laugh so hard. I'll get it next time, just watch. Oh, I'm watching, brat, Kurama said, her voice still tinged with amusement. And I'm enjoying every second of your floundering. Naruto gritted his teeth, shaking off his frustration. Alright, no more messing around. This time, I'm doing it for real. He tried again and again, each attempt slightly better than the last. By the end of the day, his body was exhausted, but his resolve remained unshaken. Finally, as the sun dipped below the horizon, he managed to create 3 perfectly balanced clones. They stood beside him, solid and ready, mirroring his triumphant grin. I did it! Naruto shouted, punching the air. See that, Kurama-chan? Who's the failure now? Inside, Kurama watched him with a mix of amusement and something deeper she couldn't quite name. This boy. No matter how many times he falls, he gets back up. He's different. She felt a faint warmth in her chest but quickly dismissed it with a flick of her tail. Don't let it go to your head, kid. This is just the beginning. Naruto laughed, collapsing onto the ground in exhaustion. You can't admit it, but I know you're impressed. Kurama huffed, though her lips curled into a small smirk. TCH. Maybe just a little. As the stars began to dot the night sky, Naruto gazed up at the moon, his thoughts drifting. Kurama, despite her sharp tongue and teasing, had become more than just a voice in his head. She was a guide, a partner, and, though he wouldn't admit it, a friend. Thanks, Kurama-chan, he murmured, his eyes growing heavy with sleep. Inside the cage, Kurama watched him with a softer expression than she cared to show. Good night, Naruto. Rest well. You'll need it. Chapter 3, Forging the Bond. The first light of dawn crept through the curtains of Naruto's room, casting soft shadows on the walls. His body ached from the previous day's training, every muscle screaming in protest as he rolled out of bed. Yet, despite the pain, a grin spread across his face. He stretched, shaking off the stiffness, and prepared for another day of pushing himself to his limits. Inside his mind, Kurama stirred, her voice as sharp as ever. Still alive, huh? I thought you'd be too sore to move, considering how pathetic you looked yesterday. Naruto rubbed the back of his neck, laughing sheepishly. Yeah, laugh it up, Kurama-chan. But today's a new day, and I'm going to get even better. Humph. Big words for a kid who couldn't make balanced clones until the sun was setting, she teased, but there was a faint warmth in her tone. Let's see if you can back them up. Naruto grabbed a piece of toast on his way out the door, munching as he jogged toward the training grounds. His determination was unshaken, even as the dull ache in his limbs reminded him of just how hard he'd worked the day before. When he arrived at Training Ground 3, the cool morning air filled his lungs, and he felt a surge of energy. Closing his eyes, he focused on the steady flame of his chakra. It no longer felt foreign or wild, instead, it was beginning to feel like an extension of himself. Kurama's voice echoed in his mind, her tone more serious this time. Alright, brat. If you're serious about getting stronger, it's time to move beyond the basics. Chakra control is important, but so is understanding how to use it in a fight. You've got clones down, now let's see how you handle speed and precision. Naruto perked up, excitement flashing in his eyes. Speed and precision? What do you have in mind, Kurama-chan? Run, she said simply, her tails flicking behind her as though she were lounging in her cage. Naruto blinked, confused. Run? That's it? Kurama's sharp laughter echoed in his mind. Don't sound so disappointed. You'll wish it were that simple soon enough. Before Naruto could respond, he felt a sudden surge of chakra rush through his body. His legs moved before his brain could catch up, propelling him forward at a breakneck pace. He stumbled, nearly tripping over his own feet, and barely managed to keep from face-planting into the ground. What the, Kurama-chan? What are you doing? Helping, she said, her voice smug. You said you wanted to get faster, right? Well, this is how we start. Stop complaining and keep up. Naruto gritted his teeth, focusing on keeping his balance as his legs carried him across the training grounds. The wind whipped past his face, and his heart pounded in his chest. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. As he ran, Kurama's voice continued to guide him. Feel the chakra in your legs. Let it flow evenly, like that flame you've been working on. If it's too much, you'll lose control. Too little, and you'll trip over your own feet. Find the balance. Naruto concentrated, his breath coming in steady bursts as he adjusted the flow of chakra. Slowly, the wild energy coursing through him began to even out. His movements became smoother, more controlled, and he felt himself gaining speed without losing his footing. There. I think I've got it, he shouted, a grin spreading across his face. Don't stop now, brat. You're just getting started, Kurama said, though there was a hint of pride in her voice. Naruto continued to run, weaving through the trees and leaping over obstacles with increasing confidence. The rush of adrenaline made his exhaustion fade into the background, and for the first time, he felt like he was truly in sync with his chakra. After what felt like hours, he finally skidded to a halt, panting heavily but grinning from ear to ear. How was that, Kurama-chan? Not bad, right? Kurama snorted, though she couldn't hide the satisfaction in her tone. Not bad, for a human. You're not completely hopeless after all. Naruto laughed, wiping the sweat from his brow. I'll take that as a compliment. Don't let it go to your head, she said, but the teasing edge in her voice had softened. As the day went on, Naruto continued to push himself, practicing not only his speed but also his precision. Kurama challenged him to use his clones to hit moving targets, forcing him to think strategically and adapt on the fly. Each time he succeeded, she would offer a rare word of praise, and each time he failed, her sharp wit kept him from getting complacent. By the time the sun dipped below the horizon, Naruto was exhausted but deeply satisfied with his progress. He collapsed onto the ground, staring up at the darkening sky with a contented smile. Hey, Kurama-chan, he said, his voice soft but filled with gratitude. Thanks for helping me. I couldn't do this without you. Inside the cage, Kurama watched him with a thoughtful expression. She felt a strange warmth in her chest, a sensation she hadn't experienced in centuries. This brat. Why does he keep thanking me? I'm just doing this for myself, right? Her ears twitched, and she let out a quiet sigh. You're welcome, Naruto. As Naruto drifted off to sleep under the stars, he felt a sense of peace he hadn't known before. Kurama, despite her sharp tongue and teasing, was becoming more than just a voice in his head. She was his partner, his ally, and, though he wouldn't admit it, a friend. And as Kurama watched over him, her golden eyes softened, and a small smile played on her lips. Rest well, kid. You're going to need it. We've got a long road ahead. Chapter 4, The Next Level. The soft glow of dawn painted the sky in hues of orange and pink as Naruto stirred from his sleep. His body ached, a reminder of the relentless training Kurama had put him through the day before. Despite the soreness, a small smile tugged at the corners of his lips. Every ache felt like proof of his progress, a sign that he was growing stronger. Inside his mind, Kurama stretched lazily, her tail swaying behind her as she observed Naruto. Still alive, I see. I was half expecting you to sleep through the morning like the lazy brat you are. Naruto groaned, rubbing the back of his neck. Morning to you too, Kurama-chan. Don't worry, I'm not planning to slack off today. Good, she said, her tone a mix of approval and amusement. Because we're not slowing down. If you want to prove yourself, you'll need to keep pushing past your limits. Naruto stood, wincing as his legs protested against the movement. Pushing past my limits? Sounds like your way of saying, you're about to suffer. He tried to laugh, but Kurama's sharp chuckle made him gulp. Oh, you have no idea, kid. Today, we're moving to a real challenge. Her golden eyes gleamed with mischief. Prepare yourself. Naruto quickly grabbed a light breakfast, his stomach rumbling as he scarfed down the last of his bread. With a determined nod, he headed out to Training Ground 3, the crisp morning air doing little to ease the tension building in his chest. Whatever Kurama had planned, he knew it wasn't going to be easy. The training ground was quiet, the stillness broken only by the rustling of leaves. Naruto stood in the center of the clearing, taking a deep breath to steady himself. All right, Kurama-chan. What's the plan? Her voice, rich with authority, echoed in his mind. Today, we're focusing on precision and stamina. It's one thing to use chakra in bursts, but maintaining control over an extended period is another story entirely. You're going to keep a steady flow of chakra while hitting moving targets. If you lose focus, you'll fail. Naruto nodded, his brow furrowing in concentration. Sounds tough, but I'm ready. We'll see, Kurama said, her tone challenging. Naruto formed the hand seals for the shadow clone jutsu, summoning 3 clones. They spread out around the clearing, each one preparing to throw stones at him from different angles. His task was to dodge the incoming projectiles while maintaining a steady flow of chakra to a glowing sphere in his palm, a rudimentary Rasengan he had been practicing under Kurama's guidance. The first stone came flying toward him, and he narrowly avoided it, the Rasengan in his hand flickering as his focus wavered. Whoa! That was close. Close isn't good enough, Kurama chided, her voice sharp. If you lose control every time you move, you'll never master this technique. Naruto gritted his teeth, forcing himself to refocus. The second and third stones came in quick succession, and this time, he managed to dodge without breaking the flow of chakra. The Rasengan glowed brighter, a testament to his improving control. Ha! How's that, Kurama-chan, he said, a triumphant grin spreading across his face. Don't celebrate yet, brat, she said with a snicker. We're just getting started. The clones began to increase the intensity of their attacks. Throwing stones faster and from trickier angles. Naruto ducked, leaped, and twisted, his movements becoming more fluid as he adapted to the rhythm of the exercise. Sweat dripped down his forehead, but he refused to let it distract him. Inside his mind, Kurama observed him with a mixture of amusement and admiration. This kid. He's clumsy, reckless, and downright stubborn. But he's got heart. And that grin. Her ears twitched, and she shook her head, trying to dismiss the warmth spreading through her chest. Focus, Kurama. He's just a human. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Naruto's stamina began to wane. His movements grew sluggish, and the Rasengan in his hand flickered dangerously. One of the clones seized the opportunity, hurling a stone that clipped his shoulder, breaking his concentration. Gah! Naruto cried out as the Rasengan fizzled out, and he stumbled to his knees. He clenched his fists, frustration bubbling to the surface. I was so close. Close doesn't cut it, Kurama said, though her voice lacked its usual sharpness. But you've made progress. Rest for now, and we'll pick up where we left off later. Naruto shook his head, pushing himself back to his feet. No way. I'm not giving up yet. I can do this, Kurama-chan. Her golden eyes widened slightly, and for a moment, she was struck by the sheer determination in his voice. This brat. He doesn't know when to quit. She sighed, her tone softening. Fine. But don't blame me if you collapse. Naruto summoned more clones, his jaw set in determination. He resumed the exercise, his movements sharper and more deliberate. Each dodge became smoother, each strike more precise, until finally, he held the glowing Rasengan steady in his palm, the stones flying harmlessly past him. I did it, he shouted, his voice ringing with triumph as he collapsed onto the ground, his chest heaving with exertion. Inside his mind, Kurama smirked, though there was a flicker of pride in her eyes. Not bad, kid. You're starting to look like a real shinobi. Naruto's face lit up, and he laughed breathlessly. Coming from you, Kurama-chan, that means a lot. Her ears twitched, and she turned away, hiding the faint blush that crept across her cheeks. Don't let it go to your head, brat. You've still got a long way to go. As the stars began to dot the night sky, Naruto lay beneath the trees, gazing up at the moon with a contented smile. Kurama watched him from within, her golden eyes softening as she observed the boy who had somehow become more than just her vessel. He's stubborn, reckless, and infuriating, but maybe he's not so bad after all. With that thought lingering in her mind, she allowed herself a small, genuine smile. Rest well, Naruto. Tomorrow's another day. Chapter 5, A Shared Resolve. Naruto stirred as the first faint rays of sunlight spilled through the trees. His body felt like lead, but his spirit buzzed with a strange mix of exhaustion and determination. He stretched, wincing at the sharp ache in his muscles, and rubbed his eyes, blinking at the peaceful dawn spreading across Training Ground 3. Inside his mind, Kurama stirred as well, her tail swaying lazily. You're still here? I thought you'd crawl back to that dingy apartment of yours after yesterday's disaster. Naruto sat up, brushing dirt off his jacket. What's the point of going home when I'm just going to be back here again? Besides, I wasn't that bad yesterday. Kurama snorted, her golden eyes narrowing in mockery. You were decent. For a human. Naruto rolled his eyes but couldn't help grinning. That's practically a compliment coming from you, Kurama-chan. I'll take it. Her sharp laughter echoed in his mind, but it was less biting than usual. Enjoy it while it lasts, brat. You're going to need that confidence for what comes next. Naruto's grin faltered, replaced by a wary expression. Wait, what comes next? Kurama didn't respond right away, her gaze thoughtful. After a moment, she sighed. You've been working on control and precision, which is good. But now it's time to test your ability to adapt under pressure. Life doesn't give you a chance to sit still and plan everything out. If you're going to be worth anything, you need to think on your feet. Naruto frowned, a flicker of nervousness passing through his eyes. Adapt under pressure? What kind of test are we talking about here? Kurama's smirk returned, sharper than ever. You'll see. Before Naruto could press for more details, he felt a sudden surge of chakra pulse through his body. It was different from before, wild, untamed, and intensely overwhelming. He staggered, clutching his stomach as his vision swam. What the heck is this? He gasped, struggling to keep his balance. Kurama's voice rang out, calm and steady. This is me turning up the heat, brat. If you can't handle a little chaos, you'll never survive the real world. Now, focus. Use what you've learned. Naruto gritted his teeth, forcing himself to stand upright. The overwhelming energy threatened to consume him, but he closed his eyes, focusing on the steady flame within. Bit by bit, the wild chakra began to stabilize, flowing more evenly through his body. There we go, he muttered, a determined smile tugging at his lips. I've got this. Kurama watched him intently, her sharp eyes softening slightly. He's learning. Faster than I expected. As Naruto steadied himself, a new challenge presented itself. The clones he had summoned earlier were no longer idle, they began attacking him, their movements faster and more coordinated than before. Stones flew toward him from all directions, and he barely managed to dodge the first volley. What the, Kurama-chan, did you do this? He shouted, leaping to avoid another stone. I may have given them a little encouragement, she said, her tone dripping with mischief. Come on, brat. Show me what you've got. Naruto groaned but didn't complain. Instead, he focused on the challenge in front of him. He darted between the projectiles, using his growing control over his chakra to enhance his speed and reflexes. Each movement felt more natural, more precise, as if his body and chakra were finally working as one. Is that all you've got? He taunted, a cocky grin spreading across his face as he dodged another attack. Inside his mind, Kurama chuckled. Don't get too comfortable, kid. We're just getting started. The clones increased the intensity of their attacks, forcing Naruto to push himself even harder. He used the terrain to his advantage, leaping off tree trunks and ducking behind rocks to avoid the relentless onslaught. Sweat poured down his face, and his breaths came in ragged bursts, but he refused to give up. As the exercise dragged on, Naruto began to notice something strange. The wild energy that had overwhelmed him earlier no longer felt foreign. It had become an extension of himself, a powerful current flowing through him. For the first time, he felt like he truly understood the potential of his own chakra. "Hey, Kurama-chan," he said between breaths, his voice steady despite his exhaustion. "I think I'm starting to get the hang of this." Kurama's ears twitched, and she smiled despite herself. "About time, brat. But don't let it go to your head. You've still got a long way to go." Naruto laughed, the sound light and genuine. "You say that every time, but I think you're secretly impressed." Her cheeks flushed ever so slightly, and she turned away, her voice sharp. "Don't flatter yourself. You're still just a kid with too much to prove." Despite her words, Kurama couldn't deny the pride swelling in her chest. Watching Naruto grow stronger, step by step, was more fulfilling than she had anticipated. She had spent centuries locked away, her power feared and misunderstood, but this boy, he was different. He saw her not as a weapon but as a partner. As the sun began to set, Naruto finally called off the exercise, collapsing onto the ground with a triumphant grin. His clones disappeared in puffs of smoke, leaving the clearing silent once more. "I did it," he said softly, staring up at the darkening sky. "I'm getting stronger, Kurama-chan. Thanks to you." Kurama didn't respond right away, her golden eyes fixed on the boy lying beneath the stars. After a moment, she sighed, her voice uncharacteristically gentle. "You're not bad, Naruto. Not bad at all." Naruto's eyes fluttered closed. A peaceful smile on his face as he drifted off to sleep. Inside his mind, Kurama watched over him, her expression unreadable. She felt a strange warmth spreading through her chest, a mixture of pride, fondness, and something else she couldn't quite name. "This brat. What are you doing to me?" she thought, her tail swishing behind her. As the first stars appeared in the night sky, Kurama allowed herself a small smile. "Rest well, Naruto. You've earned it." Chapter 6, Unraveling Potential. The morning breeze carried the sense of dew and earth as Naruto stirred awake. His body protested the slightest movement, but his spirit, as always, was unyielding. He sat up, brushing dirt off his jacket and rubbing the sleep from his eyes. The training ground around him looked serene, a stark contrast to the grueling efforts he'd poured into it the day before. Inside his mind, Kurama greeted him with her signature blend of sarcasm and curiosity. "Still breathing, huh? I was half hoping you'd finally hit your limit and give me a quiet morning." Naruto stretched his arms, wincing at the stiffness in his shoulders. "Not a chance, Kurama-chan. If you think a little soreness is going to stop me, you don't know me very well." Kurama chuckled, her golden eyes gleaming with amusement. "Oh, I know you well enough, brat. That's what makes this entertaining. You're like a wind-up toy that never runs out of energy." Naruto grinned despite himself, taking the comment as a compliment. He stood, shaking off the last remnants of sleep, and faced the clearing with renewed determination. "Alright, what's on the menu today? More crazy challenges?" Kurama's tone shifted slightly, her teasing replaced by something more thoughtful. "Today isn't just about challenges, Naruto. It's about understanding. If you want to get stronger, you need to know more about me, about what we can do together." Naruto tilted his head, his curiosity piqued. "What do you mean? You've been helping me train this whole time." "Helping?" Kurama's laughter was low and amused. "I've barely scratched the surface. You've seen a fraction of my power, and even that has overwhelmed you. If you want to master it, you'll need to learn more than just techniques." You'll need to understand the nature of chakra itself. Naruto blinked, his mind racing to process her words. The nature of chakra? Isn't it just energy? Kurama sighed, her tails flicking behind her. Energy, yes, but it's more than that. Chakra is life, emotion, will. It's the bond between you and the world around you. And for us, it's the bond between human and Bijuu. Her words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Naruto scratched his head, trying to wrap his mind around the concept. So, you're saying that to get stronger, I need to get closer to you? Exactly, Kurama said, though her voice held a tinge of mockery. Not that I expect you to understand that right away. But we'll start with something simple. Naruto crossed his arms, his expression determined. Try me. I'm ready for anything. We'll see, she replied, her tone daring. Kurama guided him to sit cross-legged in the center of the clearing, his eyes closed and his hands resting on his knees. She instructed him to focus on his breathing, to let his mind drift beyond the physical sensations of his body. At first, it felt like any other meditation exercise, but then something shifted. Naruto's consciousness seemed to expand, reaching out beyond himself. He felt the hum of energy coursing through the ground, the trees, even the air around him. It was subtle yet overwhelming, a vast network of life and energy that connected everything. This is amazing, he whispered, his voice filled with awe. Kurama's voice was softer now, almost gentle. This is the flow of chakra. It's everywhere, in everything. And when you understand it, you'll begin to see how limitless your potential truly is. As Naruto delved deeper into this newfound awareness, he began to sense something else, a presence, warm and powerful, radiating from within him. It wasn't just the raw energy he had always associated with Kurama. It was something more, something personal. Is that you? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Kurama hesitated for a moment, her usual sharpness replaced by something more vulnerable. Yes, Naruto. That's me. My chakra, my essence. It's a part of you now, just as yours is a part of me. Naruto's chest tightened at her words, a wave of emotion washing over him. He had always thought of Kurama as a force to be reckoned with, a powerful ally but distant and untouchable. Now, he realized she was something more, a partner, a companion, and perhaps even a friend. Kurama-chan, he said softly, his voice filled with sincerity, thank you. For everything. Inside the cage, Kurama's ears twitched, and a faint blush colored her cheeks. She turned away, huffing. Don't get all mushy on me, brat. You're not done yet. Naruto chuckled, the sound light and genuine. You're always so tough on me, but I know you care. I can feel it now. Kurama sighed, though there was a small smile on her lips. You're insufferable, you know that? But maybe that's not such a bad thing. As the day went on, Naruto continued to practice under Kurama's guidance, exploring the depths of his chakra and learning to harmonize with her energy. Each step brought them closer, their bond growing stronger with every shared success and failure. By the time the sun dipped below the horizon, Naruto was exhausted but exhilarated. He collapsed onto the grass, staring up at the stars with a contented smile. Hey, Kurama-chan, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I think we're starting to make a pretty good team. Kurama watched him from within, her golden eyes softening. Maybe we are, brat. Maybe we are. As Naruto drifted off to sleep, Kurama found herself lingering on his words. She had spent centuries locked away, her power feared and misunderstood. But this boy, this stubborn, reckless, infuriating boy, was changing that. He's changing me, she thought, her tail swishing behind her. And for the first time in a long time, Kurama allowed herself to hope. Chapter 7, Resonance. The morning air carried a crisp chill as Naruto stretched, the soreness from the previous day still lingering in his muscles. The sky above Training Ground 3 was painted in soft oranges and purples, and the first light of dawn cast long shadows across the clearing. Naruto let out a breath, his warm exhale visible in the cool air. "Another day, Kurama-chan," he muttered, a determined grin spreading across his face. "What crazy challenge do you have for me this time?" Inside his mind, Kurama's voice greeted him, smooth and teasing. "You sound awfully eager to suffer, brat. Maybe I've been going too easy on you." Naruto groaned, though the amusement in his eyes betrayed his complaint. "Easy? Are you kidding me? Yesterday, I thought my legs were going to fall off." Kurama chuckled, her golden eyes narrowing in mockery. "If your legs haven't fallen off yet, it means you can keep going. And today, we're taking things up a notch." Naruto sighed, brushing a hand through his messy blonde hair. "Figures. Alright, bring it on. I'm ready." Kurama's tone turned more serious, a rare note of respect threading through her words. "Today isn't just about training your body, Naruto. It's about trust. If you're going to wield my power, you need to stop fighting against it. We're not two separate forces anymore. We're partners, whether you like it or not." Naruto blinked, her words catching him off guard. "Trust? I mean, I trust you, Kurama-chan. You've been helping me this whole time." "Words are cheap, kid," Kurama said, her voice sharp but not unkind. "Trust isn't just about saying you believe in me. It's about letting go of your doubts. About accepting my power as part of you, not something you have to control." Naruto frowned, his brow furrowing in thought. "But what if I mess up? What if I can't handle it?" Kurama's gaze softened, and her tail swayed behind her. "You'll mess up. That's a given. But you'll learn. And I'll be there to catch you if you fall. You're not doing this alone, Naruto." Naruto's chest tightened at her words, a warmth spreading through him that had nothing to do with chakra. "Alright, Kurama-chan. Let's do this. Together." Kurama nodded, satisfaction flickering in her golden eyes. "Good. Now, pay attention." Naruto closed his eyes, sinking into meditation. He focused on his breathing, steady and deliberate, as he reached out to the flow of chakra within him. This time, it wasn't just his own energy he felt, it was Kurama's, powerful and radiant, intertwining with his own. "Whoa," he murmured, a sense of awe washing over him. "It feels different." "Because you're not fighting it anymore," Kurama said, her voice a soothing hum in his mind. "Let it guide you. Trust the flow." Naruto did as she instructed, allowing the energy to surge through him. It was overwhelming at first, a torrent of raw power that threatened to consume him. But instead of pulling back, he leaned into it, letting the chakra wash over him like a wave. Bit by bit, he felt himself aligning with the energy, his movements becoming fluid and natural. "Is this what it means to resonate?" he asked, his voice quiet but steady. Kurama's chuckle was warm, almost affectionate. "You catch on fast, brat. Now let's see what you can do with it." Naruto opened his eyes, his vision sharper and more focused than ever before. He sprang to his feet, the chakra flowing through him like a second heartbeat. He summoned 3 clones, each one solid and steady, and they spread out around the clearing. "Alright, Kurama-chan," he said, his grin returning. "Let's test this out." The clones began their assault, hurling stones and charging at him with kunai. But this time, Naruto moved with a speed and precision that surprised even himself. He dodged effortlessly, weaving through the attacks like water around rocks. His strikes were calculated and precise, each movement flowing seamlessly into the next. Inside his mind, Kurama watched him with a mix of pride and amusement. "Not bad, Naruto. You're starting to look like someone worth betting on." Naruto laughed, his voice light and full of energy. You mean I wasn't worth betting on before? Not even a little, she teased, though the warmth in her tone betrayed her true feelings. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Naruto pushed himself further, testing the limits of his newfound connection with Kurama. He used the terrain to his advantage, leaping off tree branches and sliding under obstacles with a fluidity that felt almost instinctual. Every movement was a testament to the bond they were building, a fusion of human determination and Bijuu power. By the time he finally called off the exercise, his body was drenched in sweat, but his smile was brighter than ever. He collapsed onto the grass, staring up at the clear blue sky. That was amazing, he said, his chest heaving as he caught his breath. I've never felt anything like that before. Kurama's voice was softer now, almost tender. You're starting to understand, Naruto. Power isn't just about strength. It's about connection. About trust. Naruto nodded, his eyes fluttering closed as exhaustion began to take over. Thanks, Kurama-chan. For everything. Inside her cage, Kurama watched him with a small, genuine smile. Rest well, brat. You've earned it. As Naruto drifted off to sleep, a sense of peace washed over him. For the first time in his life, he felt truly connected, to himself, to his chakra, and to Kurama. And as the day turned to night, the bond between them grew stronger, setting the stage for the challenges that lay ahead. Chapter 8, Unleashing Strength. The warmth of the morning sun filtered through the leaves of the training ground, casting a dappled glow on Naruto's sleeping form. He stirred, his body protesting with the familiar ache that had become his constant companion. With a groan, he pushed himself upright, rubbing the back of his neck. The exhaustion was undeniable, but it was a good kind of tired, the kind that came from progress. Inside his mind, Kurama stirred as well, her voice sharper than the morning chill. Finally awake, brat? I thought you'd sleep through the entire day. Naruto smirked, cracking his knuckles. You wish, Kurama-chan. I'm ready for whatever you've got planned. Big words for someone who barely survived yesterday's training, Kurama teased, her golden eyes narrowing with amusement. Let's see if you can back them up. Naruto stretched his arms over his head, feeling the satisfying pull of his muscles. He could sense Kurama's energy coursing through him, more vibrant and attuned than ever. The resonance they had achieved was still new, but it filled him with a confidence he hadn't felt before. It wasn't just his strength he was relying on anymore, it was theirs. Alright, what's the next challenge? He asked, his grin widening. Kurama's tone shifted, her usual teasing replaced by something more serious. Today, we're moving beyond dodging stones and running laps. If you want to truly master my power, you need to understand what it means to wield it in combat. No clones, no distractions, just you and me. Naruto blinked, caught off guard. Wait, you mean? I'm going to fight you? Kurama's sharp laughter echoed in his mind. Not me directly, idiot. But I'll be testing you in ways that'll make it feel like you are. Now, stop talking and focus. This won't be easy. Naruto took a deep breath, centering himself as Kurama's chakra surged through him. It was a wild, untamed force, but instead of overwhelming him, it felt like a partner waiting to be guided. He closed his eyes, letting the energy settle into a steady rhythm. The ground beneath him rumbled suddenly, snapping his eyes open. Pillars of earth shot up around the clearing, forming a labyrinth of jagged obstacles. The air seemed to thrum with power, and Naruto felt a chill crawl up his spine. What the, Kurama-chan, did you do this? He shouted, looking around in bewilderment. Of course. Consider this your battlefield, Kurama said, her voice cool and commanding. Your goal is simple, navigate the maze and destroy the targets I've placed inside. But be warned, it won't be as straightforward as it looks. Naruto didn't need further explanation. He dashed into the maze, his senses on high alert. The walls of stone loomed over him, casting long shadows that made it hard to see what lay ahead. As he turned a corner, a burst of chakra shot out from the wall, narrowly missing him. "Whoa!" he yelped, leaping out of the way. "What was that?" "Traps, brat. Think of them as my way of keeping you on your toes," Kurama said, her tone laced with amusement. Naruto groaned but didn't slow down. He moved through the maze with increasing agility, dodging chakra bursts and navigating tight spaces with precision. Each trap forced him to adapt, pushing his reflexes and strategic thinking to their limits. As he rounded another corner, he spotted the first target, a glowing orb hovering in the air. He didn't hesitate, channeling chakra into his hand as he formed a Rasengan. The energy spun wildly, but he tightened his focus, steadying the sphere before slamming it into the target. The orb shattered in a burst of light, and a wave of satisfaction washed over him. "One down," he muttered, his grin returning. "Don't get cocky, brat. There are plenty more where that came from," Kurama warned, though there was a hint of pride in her voice. Naruto pressed on, his movements becoming more fluid with each target he destroyed. The traps grew more complex, but he found himself relying less on instinct and more on the bond he shared with Kurama. Her chakra guided him, enhancing his speed and precision as he navigated the labyrinth. Inside his mind, Kurama watched him with a mix of amusement and admiration. This kid. He's clumsy, reckless, and annoyingly persistent. But he's starting to understand. Slowly but surely, he's learning what it means to trust. As Naruto approached the final target, a massive burst of chakra erupted from the ground, forming a barrier that blocked his path. He skidded to a halt, his breath coming in ragged bursts as he stared at the obstacle. "Kurama-chan, what's this?" he shouted, frustration flickering in his eyes. "Your final test," Kurama said, her tone challenging. "Break through it, and you'll prove you're ready to wield my power fully. But be warned, it won't go down easy." Naruto clenched his fists, his determination flaring. "All right, let's do this." He closed his eyes, reaching for the resonance they had achieved. The chakra surged through him, powerful and wild, but this time, he didn't fight it. He embraced it, letting it merge with his own energy as he formed a Rasengan larger and more concentrated than ever before. With a fierce cry, Naruto charged at the barrier, slamming the Rasengan into it with all his might. The impact sent shockwaves through the clearing, and for a moment, it felt like the entire maze was shaking. The barrier cracked, splintered, and finally shattered, a deafening roar echoing in its wake. Naruto stumbled back, panting heavily as the dust settled. The maze began to crumble around him, the pillars of earth sinking back into the ground. He fell to his knees, exhaustion weighing him down, but a triumphant grin spread across his face. "I did it," he said softly, his voice filled with pride. Inside his mind, Kurama watched him with a small smile. "Not bad, brat. You're finally starting to understand what it means to wield my power. But don't think this is the end. We've got a long way to go." Naruto chuckled, his eyes fluttering closed as he let himself rest. "I wouldn't have it any other way, Kurama-chan. Thanks for believing in me." Kurama's golden eyes softened, and she let out a quiet sigh. "You're a pain, Naruto. But maybe, just maybe, you're worth it." As the first stars appeared in the night sky, Naruto drifted off to sleep, his heart lighter than it had been in years. The bond between him and Kurama had grown stronger, and for the first time, he felt truly unstoppable. Together, they were becoming something extraordinary, a force that would change the world. Chapter 9, Strength in Unity. The night's calm faded as the early rays of dawn illuminated the village of Konoha. Naruto woke up sprawled on the grass of Training Ground 3, his body aching but his heart full of determination. The memory of breaking through Kurama's barrier still played in his mind, each detail vivid and exhilarating. He had proven himself, but he knew the journey was far from over. Kurama's voice stirred in his mind, laced with her usual blend of sarcasm and authority. Still alive, huh? I was half expecting you to pass out for a week after yesterday's little stunt. Naruto stretched, letting out a yawn that quickly turned into a grin. Not a chance, Kurama-chan. I'm just getting started. What's next? Kurama snorted, though there was an edge of pride in her tone. Next? You're moving too fast, brat. The maze was a test of power and adaptability, but today, we focus on precision and finesse. You've got strength, but strength without control is meaningless. Naruto rolled his eyes, his grin widening. You always make it sound so easy, Kurama-chan. But fine, I'll show you I can handle finesse too. Kurama chuckled, her golden eyes narrowing with amusement. We'll see. Don't disappoint me. Naruto stood and stretched, shaking off the stiffness in his muscles. The training ground felt different today, quieter, as if the world itself was holding its breath. He took a deep breath, letting the crisp morning air fill his lungs, and turned his focus inward, feeling the steady hum of chakra flowing through him. Kurama's voice guided him, her instructions sharp and deliberate. Today, we're refining your control over my chakra. Start by channeling just a fraction of it, not too much, or you'll overwhelm yourself. Naruto nodded, closing his eyes as he visualized the energy within him. The chakra was a blazing inferno, wild and powerful, but he reached for only a small portion, pulling it into a steady stream that flowed through his body. All right, I think I've got it, he said, opening his eyes. Good, Kurama replied. Now, focus that chakra into your hands. You're going to use it to form a shield, not an attack, but a barrier that can withstand force without breaking. Naruto frowned, his brow furrowing in concentration. A barrier? Like a wall? Not exactly. A barrier is about precision and balance, not brute force. Think of it as an extension of yourself, a shield that moves with you, flexible yet unyielding. Naruto hesitated for a moment, then nodded. He brought his hands together, channeling the chakra into his palms. The energy sparked and flickered, unstable at first, but he gritted his teeth and focused, steadying the flow. A faint, translucent barrier began to form around him, shimmering like a heat wave. Naruto's eyes widened in surprise, and he couldn't help but grin. Whoa! I did it! Don't celebrate yet, brat, Kurama said, her voice sharp. The barrier's fragile. It won't hold up against a real attack. Strengthen it, and make sure it can withstand pressure. Naruto nodded, pouring more chakra into the barrier. The translucent shield grew brighter, its edges solidifying. He felt a surge of pride, but before he could say anything, a sudden force slammed into the barrier, causing it to ripple. What the? Naruto shouted, spinning around. Kurama's laughter echoed in his mind. Surprise, brat. You didn't think I'd let you practice in peace, did you? Naruto groaned, tightening his focus as another wave of force crashed against the barrier. He dug his heels into the ground, gritting his teeth as he fought to maintain the shield. Kurama-chan, you could have warned me, he yelled, sweat dripping down his face. Where's the fun in that? She replied, her tone dripping with amusement. Stay focused, or the barrier will break. Naruto took a deep breath, centering himself. The shield wavered, but he adjusted the flow of chakra, stabilizing it. Each attack tested his control, pushing him to his limits, but he refused to give in. With every wave of force, the barrier grew stronger, its glow more vibrant. After what felt like hours, the attacks finally ceased. Naruto collapsed onto the ground, his chest heaving as he struggled to catch his breath. The barrier flickered for a moment before disappearing, leaving the clearing silent once more. I did it, he muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. I actually did it. Inside his mind, Kurama watched him with a small smile. Not bad, Naruto. You're starting to get the hang of it. But don't think this means you're done. You've still got a lot to learn. Naruto chuckled, his eyes fluttering closed as exhaustion began to take over. You always say that, Kurama-chan. But I can tell, you're proud of me, aren't you? Kurama huffed, though her golden eyes softened. Don't flatter yourself, brat. But, maybe you're not as hopeless as I thought. Naruto's grin widened, and he let out a quiet laugh. I'll take that as a yes. As the stars began to dot the night sky, Naruto drifted off to sleep, his heart filled with a quiet confidence. Kurama watched over him, her expression unreadable, but a small warmth spread through her chest. This brat. He's changing faster than I expected. Maybe, just maybe, he'll be the one to prove me wrong. For the first time in centuries, Kurama felt a flicker of hope. Together, she and Naruto were becoming something greater than either of them had imagined, a force strong enough to shake the world. Chapter 10, Breaking Barriers. Naruto awoke to the soft warmth of morning sunlight filtering through the trees. The soreness in his body had become a familiar companion, a sign that each day's training had pushed him further. He sat up slowly, brushing leaves off his jacket, and let out a long yawn. As he stretched, a grin crept onto his face, his excitement bubbling beneath the surface. Morning, Kurama-chan, he said aloud, his voice bright and full of energy. What's the plan for today? More crazy challenges? Inside his mind, Kurama's voice greeted him with its usual sharpness, though there was a note of amusement beneath it. Morning, brat. I see you've gotten used to waking up sore and half dead. That's progress, I suppose. Naruto laughed, shaking his head. You really know how to motivate me, don't you? If I wanted to motivate you, I'd dangle a bowl of ramen in front of you. But no, today's challenge doesn't involve food. It's about breaking limits, the ones you don't even know exist yet. Naruto blinked, his grin faltering slightly. Breaking limits? What do you mean? Kurama sighed, her golden eyes narrowing as she considered her words. Your progress has been impressive, Naruto, but there's still a barrier between us. A wall you've built in your mind without even realizing it. If we're going to unlock your full potential, you need to tear it down. Naruto scratched his head, his brow furrowing. A wall? What kind of wall? The kind that keeps you from fully trusting yourself, and me. You've come far, but there's still a part of you that holds back, afraid of what might happen if you let go completely. Naruto's chest tightened at her words. He opened his mouth to protest, but something in Kurama's tone stopped him. She wasn't teasing him this time, she was serious. And she was right. Deep down, he still feared losing control, feared what her power might do if he couldn't handle it. All right, he said quietly, his voice steady. What do I need to do? Kurama's gaze softened, though her tone remained firm. We're going to push your chakra beyond its limits. You'll feel like you're breaking apart, but you won't. I won't let you. Trust me, and trust yourself. Naruto nodded, determination flaring in his eyes. I trust you, Kurama-chan. Let's do this. He stood in the center of the training ground, his hands clenched into fists as he prepared himself. Kurama's chakra began to surge within him, a roaring torrent that threatened to consume him. His knees buckled, and for a moment, he felt like he was drowning. Whoa, this is intense, he gasped, his breath coming in short bursts. Stay with it, brat, Kurama urged, her voice cutting through the chaos. Don't fight it. Let it flow. Trust the connection between us. Naruto closed his eyes, focusing on the resonance they had built together. Slowly, the wild energy began to settle, its chaotic waves transforming into a steady rhythm. It was overwhelming but not unbearable, a vast ocean of power that he could finally touch without fear. As he opened his eyes, a fiery orange aura surrounded him, flickering like flames. His senses sharpened, and he felt a strength he had never known before coursing through his veins. This is amazing," he whispered, his voice filled with awe. "This is what we can achieve together," Kurama said, her voice steady and confident. "But don't get cocky. You're not done yet." Naruto grinned, his fists tightening. "Right. What's next?" "Now, we test your control. You're going to channel this power into your attacks without losing the flow. If you can do that, you'll finally be ready to fight at my level." Naruto nodded, his mind focused. He began to move, his body light and fluid as he tested the limits of his enhanced speed and strength. He summoned a Rasengan, its energy blazing brighter than ever before, and launched it at a distant boulder. The explosion shattered the rock into dust, sending shockwaves through the clearing. "Ha! Did you see that, Kurama-chan?" he shouted, his grin widening. "Don't get too excited," Kurama replied, though her voice held a hint of pride. "That was the easy part. Let's see how you handle precision." The ground around him shifted as targets rose from the earth, each one moving unpredictably. Naruto's eyes narrowed, and he charged forward, weaving through the maze of obstacles. He dodged and struck with precision, his movements sharper and more deliberate than ever before. Inside his mind, Kurama watched him with a rare softness in her gaze. "This kid. He's stronger than I gave him credit for. And he's not just strong, he's determined, fearless, and infuriatingly optimistic." As Naruto destroyed the final target, he skidded to a halt, panting heavily but grinning from ear to ear. His orange aura flickered but didn't fade, a testament to his growing control. "I did it," he said, his voice breathless. "I really did it." "You're getting there," Kurama said, her tone uncharacteristically gentle. "But remember, Naruto, this isn't just about strength. It's about trust. And you've finally taken the first real step." Naruto's grin softened, and he closed his eyes, a wave of gratitude washing over him. "Thanks, Kurama-chan. For everything." Kurama huffed, though her golden eyes shimmered with something close to pride. "Don't thank me yet, brat. You've still got a lot to prove." Naruto chuckled, his exhaustion catching up to him as he sank to the ground. "I'll prove it. Just watch." As the sun set behind the trees, casting the training ground in a warm golden light, Naruto drifted into a peaceful sleep. Kurama watched over him. Her expression unreadable, but a small smile tugged at her lips. "He's not just my vessel anymore," she thought, her tail swishing behind her. "He's my partner. And together, we'll show the world what true strength looks like." Chapter 11, The Weight of Power. The sun crept over the horizon, its golden light spilling across Training Ground 3. Naruto stirred, his body aching as though it had been through a storm. He groaned, rolling onto his side before forcing himself upright. Despite the soreness, a determined smile crept onto his face. Each ache and bruise was proof of progress, of just how far he'd come. Inside his mind, Kurama's voice greeted him with her usual edge, though a softer undertone threaded through it. "Still alive, huh? Guess I didn't push you hard enough yesterday." Naruto stretched, his grin widening. "If that's not pushing me hard enough, I don't want to know what happens when you go all out, Kurama-chan." "Oh, you'll find out soon enough," she replied, her golden eyes narrowing in amusement. "But today's lesson isn't about brute strength or flashy moves. It's about understanding the weight of the power you wield." Naruto frowned, brushing dirt off his jacket. "The weight of power? What do you mean?" Kurama's tone grew serious, her tail swaying behind her. "You've learned to control my chakra, to channel it into attacks and defenses. But power without purpose is meaningless. You need to understand what you're fighting for, and who you're willing to protect." Naruto blinked, caught off guard by the gravity of her words. "I mean, I already know that, don't I? I want to protect my friends, my village. Do you, though? Kurama interrupted, her voice sharp. Or are you just repeating what you think a hero is supposed to say? Power isn't just about defeating enemies, Naruto. It's about responsibility. Every choice you make with this strength will have consequences, for you and for the people around you. Naruto's grin faded, his expression turning thoughtful. He had always dreamed of becoming Hokage, of being strong enough to protect everyone he cared about. But hearing Kurama's words made him realize that strength wasn't just a gift, it was a burden. I think I get it, he said quietly, his hands clenching into fists. You're saying that having power means I have to be ready to make the hard choices. That it's not just about winning fights. Kurama nodded, her golden eyes steady. Exactly. And if you're not ready to bear that weight, you'll crumble the moment things get tough. Now, let's see if you're as ready as you think you are. Naruto stood, a new sense of resolve burning in his chest. Alright, Kurama-chan. What's the plan? Follow my lead, she said, her voice filled with authority. The clearing transformed before Naruto's eyes, the familiar training ground shifting into a battlefield strewn with jagged rocks and deep craters. In the center stood a shadowy figure, its form indistinct but radiating an aura of menace. Naruto tensed, his instincts flaring. What is that? He asked, his voice steady but cautious. It's a manifestation of doubt and fear, Kurama explained, her tone calm but firm. Your doubt. It's not something you can simply punch or blast away. To defeat it, you'll need to confront it head-on. The figure moved, its shadowy limbs stretching unnaturally as it rushed toward Naruto. He leaped back, forming a Rasengan in his hand. The energy swirled brightly, and he lunged forward, slamming the sphere into the figure's chest. The impact sent a shockwave through the clearing, but the figure barely flinched. What the? Naruto stumbled back, his eyes wide. It didn't work. Of course it didn't, Kurama said, her voice sharp. You're trying to fight it like any other enemy. But this isn't an opponent you can defeat with brute force. It's part of you, Naruto. If you want to overcome it, you need to understand it. Naruto froze, the figure looming closer as his mind raced. He had faced countless enemies before, Zabuza, Gaara, even Orochimaru, but this was different. This wasn't just a battle of strength. It was a battle of will. He closed his eyes, forcing himself to breathe deeply. The weight of Kurama's words pressed on him. And he searched within himself for the answer. What was he truly afraid of? What doubt was holding him back? As he focused, the shadowy figure stopped, its form flickering. Naruto opened his eyes, and for the first time, he saw its face. It was his own. The sight sent a chill through him, but he didn't look away. Instead, he took a step forward, his voice steady. I get it now. You're the part of me that's afraid of failing. Of letting people down. The figure tilted its head, its expression unreadable. But I'm not going to let that fear control me, Naruto continued, his fists clenching. Yeah, I'm scared. Scared of messing up, of not being strong enough. But that fear is what pushes me to keep going. To get better. To protect the people I care about. The shadow began to dissolve, its dark edges softening as Naruto's words echoed through the clearing. He stepped closer, his voice unwavering. You're not my enemy. You're my reminder. And as long as I remember why I fight, I won't let you stop me. The figure vanished, and the battlefield faded back into the familiar training ground. Naruto stood in the center, his chest heaving but his heart light. He turned his gaze inward, a small smile tugging at his lips. Did you see that, Kurama-chan? He said softly. I think I passed your test. Inside his mind, Kurama's golden eyes gleamed with pride. Not bad, brat. You're starting to understand what it really means to be strong. But don't think this means you're done. There's still a long road ahead. Naruto chuckled, his exhaustion catching up to him as he sank to the ground. I wouldn't have it any other way, Kurama-chan. Thanks for always pushing me. Kurama huffed, though her voice was softer than usual. Someone has to keep you in line. Rest up, Naruto. You've earned it. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Naruto lay back, his heart filled with a newfound sense of clarity. Kurama watched over him, her expression thoughtful but content. This boy. He's not just growing stronger. He's becoming someone worth following. And maybe, just maybe, he'll be the one to change everything. Chapter 12, The Echo of Resolve. The morning light trickled through the trees as Naruto stirred awake, his body aching yet alive with energy. Each muscle groaned in protest as he sat up, but the memories of the previous day brought a small smile to his face. He had faced his own fears, his own doubts, and emerged stronger. Today wasn't just another day of training, it was the next step forward. Inside his mind, Kurama greeted him, her tone sharp but carrying a faint note of warmth. Back on your feet already? Maybe you're finally starting to grow a backbone, brat. Naruto chuckled, brushing leaves off his jacket. Good morning to you too, Kurama-chan. And yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. So, what's next? More tests of will? Another life or death training session? Not quite, Kurama replied, her voice steady but contemplative. Today's about refinement. You've faced your fears and started to understand what it means to carry power. But now, we need to ensure you can wield that power with precision. Naruto stretched his arms over his head, rolling his shoulders to loosen the tension. Precision, huh? Alright, let's do it. I'm ready for anything. We'll see, Kurama said, her golden eyes narrowing with amusement. Head to the edge of the forest. There's a clearing there that'll be perfect for what I have in mind. Naruto set off, the crisp morning air filling his lungs. The walk gave him time to reflect on everything he had learned. He thought about the challenges Kurama had put him through, each one pushing him further than he thought possible. He couldn't help but grin, he wasn't just training anymore. He was evolving. When he reached the clearing, he stopped, his eyes widening in surprise. The area was vast, surrounded by towering trees and filled with scattered boulders and streams. It felt alive, humming with the energy of the earth itself. This is perfect, Naruto murmured, his excitement bubbling. Glad you approve, Kurama said with a smirk. Now, let's get started. Naruto stood in the center of the clearing, his hands at his sides as he focused inward. He felt the steady pulse of chakra within him, the now familiar resonance he shared with Kurama. It was no longer a wild, untamed force, it was a part of him, as natural as breathing. Good, Kurama said, her voice firm. Now, channel my chakra into a concentrated stream. Small and precise, like threading a needle. No more brute force, this is about control. Naruto nodded, bringing his hands together as he visualized the energy. The fiery orange chakra began to gather in his palms, flickering like a candle in the wind. He furrowed his brow, steadying the flow, and the chakra stabilized into a small, glowing orb. Alright, I think I've got it, he said, his voice steady. Not bad, Kurama replied. But now comes the hard part, sustaining it while moving. Power means nothing if you can't use it under pressure. The boulders in the clearing shifted, each one rising into the air and spinning unpredictably. Naruto's eyes widened as the first boulder hurtled toward him. What the? Kurama-chan, are you trying to crush me? He shouted, dodging the boulder by a hair's breadth. Stop complaining and focus, Kurama snapped. Maintain the chakra while evading. If you drop it, you start over. Naruto gritted his teeth, his heart pounding as he ducked, leaped, and twisted to avoid the incoming projectiles. The chakra orb flickered dangerously, and he tightened his focus, refusing to let it fade. "Come on, stay steady," he muttered, his movements becoming sharper and more deliberate. The exercise continued, each boulder forcing Naruto to adapt and react faster. His body ached, his breath came in ragged bursts, but he refused to give up. With every dodge, he felt his control improving, the chakra in his hands becoming an extension of himself. Inside his mind, Kurama watched him intently, her golden eyes narrowing. This boy. He's clumsy and reckless, but his determination is unmatched. He's learning faster than I expected. Finally, the boulders slowed, settling back into the ground. Naruto collapsed onto his knees, the chakra orb still glowing brightly in his hands. He looked at it, his chest heaving, and let out a triumphant laugh. "I did it," he said, his voice filled with pride. "I actually did it." "Not bad, brat," Kurama said, her tone softer than usual. "You're starting to show some promise. But don't think for a second that this means you're done." Naruto grinned, his exhaustion evident but his spirit unshaken. "I wouldn't expect anything less, Kurama-chan. What's next?" "Rest for now," she replied, her voice carrying a rare hint of warmth. "You've earned it. But tomorrow, we'll see if you're ready to face a real opponent." Naruto blinked, curiosity flickering in his eyes. "A real opponent? You mean, someone stronger than me?" "Exactly," Kurama said, her smirk audible in her tone. "It's time to see if you can hold your own against someone who won't hold back. Someone who will push you to your absolute limits." Naruto's grin widened, a spark of excitement igniting in his chest. "Bring it on. I'll show you just how far I've come." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the clearing in shades of orange and pink, Naruto lay back on the grass, his mind racing with anticipation. Inside his mind, Kurama watched over him, her expression unreadable but her thoughts clear. "This brat. He's stronger than I gave him credit for. And if he keeps this up, he might just become someone worth betting on." For the first time in centuries, Kurama felt something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in a long time: hope. Together, she and Naruto were forging a bond that would change not only their lives but the fate of the world. Chapter 13, A True Opponent. The rising sun painted the sky in shades of gold and crimson as Naruto stretched awake on the soft grass of the clearing. The ache in his body was familiar now, a constant reminder of the grueling but rewarding training he had endured. He yawned, rubbing the sleep from his eyes, and sat up, the memory of Kurama's words from the previous day echoing in his mind. "A real opponent," she had said, her tone serious but tinged with a challenge. Naruto didn't know who, or what, Kurama had in store for him. But the excitement in his chest outweighed any lingering nerves. "Morning, Kurama-chan," he said, standing and shaking off the last remnants of sleep. "So, who's this real opponent you've been teasing me about?" Inside his mind, Kurama's voice was sharp, but there was a note of pride beneath her usual sarcasm. "You'll find out soon enough, brat. But first, let's see if you're ready to handle them. I don't want to waste my time if you're going to crumble at the first sign of trouble." Naruto grinned, stretching his arms. "I'm ready for anything you throw at me. Just watch, I'll show you how far I've come." "Big words," Kurama replied, her golden eyes narrowing with amusement. "Let's see if you can back them up." The clearing had transformed again, the peaceful meadow replaced by a rocky battlefield. The air was thick with tension, the faint hum of chakra resonating through the space. Naruto stood at the center, his senses on high alert as he scanned his surroundings. Before he could speak, a figure stepped into view. Naruto's eyes widened as he took in the sight, a mirror image of himself, down to the whisker marks and orange jacket. But the figure's eyes glowed faintly red, and its expression was cold, devoid of the warmth Naruto carried. "What the?" Naruto muttered, his hands clenching into fists. Kurama-chan, what is this? That's your opponent, Kurama said simply. A shadow of yourself, amplified by my chakra. It has your strength, your techniques, and none of your weaknesses. To beat it, you'll need to prove that you're more than just raw power. Naruto's heartbeat quickened, but he forced himself to steady his breathing. Alright, shadow me. Let's see what you've got. The shadow didn't respond. Instead, it charged, moving faster than Naruto expected. He barely managed to dodge the first strike, the force of the blow sending a shockwave through the air. Naruto leapt back, forming a Rasengan in his hand as he prepared to counterattack. The shadow mirrored his movements perfectly, summoning its own Rasengan. The two clashed, the resulting explosion throwing both of them backward. Naruto rolled to his feet, his mind racing. It's like fighting myself, he thought, his chest heaving. But it's faster, stronger. Stop overthinking it, brat, Kurama's voice cut in, sharp and commanding. You'll never win if you keep playing defense. Fight smarter, not harder. Naruto nodded, determination flaring in his eyes. He charged again, weaving through the shadow's attacks with increasing precision. Each strike, each counter, pushed him to his limits, but he refused to back down. His chakra burned brightly, resonating with Kurama's energy as he tapped into the bond they had forged. Let's see how you handle this. Naruto shouted, summoning 3 shadow clones. The clones fanned out, each one attacking from a different angle. The shadow countered with its own clones, the battlefield erupting into chaos as the two forces clashed. Naruto's clones were destroyed one by one, but he used the distraction to close the gap. He formed another Rasengan, pouring his energy into the spinning sphere, and slammed it into the shadow's chest. The impact sent the shadow flying, but it recovered quickly, landing on its feet with a snarl. It's not enough, Kurama said, her tone steady but urgent. You need to push further. Trust in our power, Naruto. Let it guide you. Naruto closed his eyes for a brief moment, centering himself. The fiery orange chakra surged through him, brighter and more controlled than ever before. When he opened his eyes, they glowed faintly, a sign of the resonance he shared with Kurama. Alright, shadow me, he said, his voice steady. Let's finish this. He charged again, his movements sharper and more deliberate. The shadow tried to counter, but Naruto was faster, his attacks flowing like water. He feinted left, then spun right, delivering a powerful kick that sent the shadow sprawling. Before it could recover, Naruto formed his most powerful Rasengan yet, the sphere glowing with an intensity that lit up the battlefield. He slammed it into the shadow with a roar, the energy exploding in a blinding flash. When the light faded, the shadow was gone, its form dissolving into the air. Naruto stood in the center of the clearing, his chest heaving as he caught his breath. The battlefield shifted back to the peaceful meadow, the tension in the air dissipating. I did it, Naruto said softly, a small smile spreading across his face. Inside his mind, Kurama watched him with a rare look of pride. Not bad, brat. You're finally starting to show some real strength. But don't let it go to your head, you've still got a long way to go. Naruto chuckled, sinking to the ground as exhaustion caught up to him. You always say that, Kurama-chan. But I know you're proud of me. You can't hide it. Kurama huffed, though her golden eyes softened. Don't flatter yourself. But, maybe you're not so hopeless after all. Naruto laughed, his eyes fluttering closed as he let himself rest. Thanks, Kurama-chan. For everything. As the stars began to dot the sky, Kurama's voice softened, her tone carrying a rare note of warmth. Rest well, Naruto. You've earned it. And as the night settled over the clearing, Naruto dreamed of the bond he and Kurama had forged, a bond of trust, strength, and unity. Together, they were becoming something greater than either of them had ever imagined. Chapter 14, A Bond Tested. The stars faded as the dawn crept over Konoha, the training ground bathed in the soft glow of morning light. Naruto stirred, blinking groggily as the memories of yesterday's battle with his shadow self filtered through his mind. He stretched, wincing at the lingering soreness in his muscles, and sat up with a groan. "Man, that was intense," he muttered, running a hand through his messy blonde hair. "But I did it, Kurama-chan. What's next?" Inside his mind, Kurama's voice was calm but carried a sharp edge. "You're stronger than you were, brat, but strength alone won't be enough for what's coming. Today, we're going to see if you've truly learned to trust in the power we share." Naruto frowned, tilting his head. "What do you mean? Haven't I been doing that this whole time?" "Not entirely," Kurama replied, her golden eyes narrowing. "You're still holding back. Whether it's fear, doubt, or stubbornness, something in you is keeping us from fully resonating. And until you let go, you won't reach your full potential." Naruto rubbed the back of his neck, his expression thoughtful. "Alright, so how do we fix that?" Kurama's voice grew serious. "You're going to face a challenge unlike any before. A test that will force you to rely on more than just your strength. If you fail, it won't just be you who suffers, it'll be me as well." Naruto's chest tightened at her words, but he clenched his fists, determination flaring in his eyes. "I won't fail, Kurama-chan. You can count on me." "We'll see," she said, her tone sharp but not unkind. The clearing shifted once more, the serene meadow transforming into a dark and stormy battlefield. Thunder rumbled overhead, and the ground beneath Naruto's feet trembled as he stood in the center, scanning his surroundings. The air was thick with tension, the oppressive energy pressing down on him like a weight. "Kurama-chan, what's going on?" he called out, his voice steady but cautious. "This is the realm of your mind, Naruto," Kurama explained. "It reflects your inner turmoil. To pass this test, you'll need to confront the chaos within yourself, and overcome it." Naruto's eyes widened as a massive figure emerged from the shadows. It was Kurama, but not the Kurama he had come to know. This version was colossal, her fur bristling and her golden eyes blazing with fury. Her 9 tails lashed out, tearing through the ground as she let out a deafening roar. "What the?" Naruto stumbled back, his heart racing. "Kurama-chan, is that you?" "It's a manifestation of my full power," Kurama said, her voice calm despite the storm around them. "To prove you're ready, you'll need to face it. And this time, I won't be holding back." Naruto clenched his fists, his breath coming in steady bursts. "Alright, then. Let's do this." The giant Kurama lunged, her massive claws slashing toward Naruto with incredible speed. He leaped out of the way, narrowly avoiding the attack. And landed in a crouch. Without hesitation, he formed a Rasengan in his hand and charged, aiming for her flank. But the attack barely fazed her. The Rasengan collided with her fur, dispersing harmlessly as she swiped at him again. Naruto rolled to avoid the blow, his mind racing. "She's too strong. I can't beat her with brute force," he thought, sweat dripping down his face. "Exactly," Kurama's voice echoed in his mind. "This isn't a fight you can win with strength alone. You need to understand what it means to truly trust me, to trust us." Naruto paused, the words sinking in. He closed his eyes, taking a deep breath to calm his racing heart. The storm around him raged on, but he focused inward, searching for the connection he had forged with Kurama. Slowly, he felt it, the steady pulse of their shared chakra, a bond that had grown stronger with each challenge they faced. It wasn't just his power or hers, it was something greater, something they had built together. When he opened his eyes, they glowed faintly, the fiery orange aura of Kurama's chakra surrounding him. "Alright, Kurama-chan," he said softly, his voice steady. "Let's do this together." The giant Kurama roared, charging at him once more. But this time, Naruto didn't flinch. He moved with precision, weaving through her attacks as if they were part of a dance. Each step, each strike, was guided by the resonance they shared. He formed another Rasengan, but instead of channeling his own chakra, he let Kurama's energy flow into it. The sphere blazed with orange light, its power far greater than anything he had wielded before. "Take this," he shouted, leaping toward the giant Kurama. The Rasengan collided with her chest, and the resulting explosion lit up the battlefield. When the dust settled, the giant Kurama was gone, replaced by the familiar figure of Kurama within her cage. She watched him with a small, genuine smile, her golden eyes softening. "You did it, Naruto," she said, her voice carrying a rare note of pride. "You've proven that you trust me, and that you're ready for what's to come." Naruto sank to his knees, his chest heaving as he caught his breath. A tired but triumphant grin spread across his face. "I couldn't have done it without you, Kurama-chan. We make a pretty good team, huh?" Kurama huffed, though her eyes shimmered with something close to fondness. "Don't let it go to your head, brat." "But yes, we do." As the battlefield faded, returning to the peaceful clearing, Naruto lay back on the grass, his heart filled with a quiet confidence. The bond between him and Kurama had been tested, and it had endured, stronger than ever. Inside her cage, Kurama watched over him, her expression unreadable but her thoughts clear. "This boy. He's not just my vessel anymore. He's my partner. And together, we'll face whatever comes next." Chapter 15, A Partnership Forged. The sun rose over Konoha, painting the sky in hues of gold and orange. Naruto sat cross-legged in the center of the training ground, his eyes closed as the gentle breeze tousled his blonde hair. The familiar hum of chakra resonated within him, steady and vibrant. It was no longer a chaotic force he fought to control but a harmonious energy shared between him and Kurama. Inside his mind, Kurama watched him with quiet pride. Her golden eyes softened as she observed the boy who had grown stronger, not just in power but in understanding. "You've come a long way, brat," she said, her voice carrying a rare note of warmth. "But don't think for a second that this means we're done." Naruto chuckled, his eyes fluttering open. "I wouldn't dream of it, Kurama-chan. There's always more to learn, right?" "Always," she replied, her tail swaying behind her. "But today isn't about training. Today is about acknowledging what we've accomplished, and preparing for what lies ahead." Naruto stood, stretching his arms over his head. "You're not usually the sentimental type, Kurama-chan. What's the occasion?" "The occasion is you finally being less of an idiot," she said, though her tone was teasing rather than harsh. "You've proven that you can wield my power without losing yourself. More importantly, you've shown that you trust me, and that's no small feat." Naruto smiled, a quiet gratitude shining in his eyes. "I couldn't have done it without you, Kurama-chan. You're not just my power, you're my partner." Kurama huffed, turning her head away, but the faint blush on her cheeks betrayed her feelings. "Don't get all mushy on me, brat. You're still a work in progress." Naruto laughed, his voice ringing out across the clearing. "Fair enough. But you're stuck with me now, so you'd better get used to it." The rest of the morning passed in peaceful reflection. Naruto wandered through the village, the familiar sights and sounds filling him with a renewed sense of purpose. The stares and whispers that once haunted him no longer carried the same weight. He wasn't just Naruto the outcast anymore. He was Naruto Uzumaki, a shinobi with the strength to protect those he cared about. As he walked, he felt Kurama's presence, steady and comforting. "What are you smiling about?" she asked, though there was no edge to her words. "Just thinking about how far we've come," he replied. "I used to think I had to do everything on my own. But now I know I'm not alone, I've got you." Kurama was silent for a moment, her gaze softening. "You're not alone, Naruto. And you never will be. But don't forget, our strength isn't just for ourselves. It's for the people who believe in us." Naruto nodded, his expression turning serious. "I know. And I won't let them down." By the time the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the village in warm hues of orange and pink, Naruto found himself back at Training Ground 3. He sat beneath a tree, gazing up at the stars as they began to appear in the darkening sky. "Hey, Kurama-chan," he said softly, his voice carrying a rare note of vulnerability. "Do you think I'll ever be strong enough to protect everyone? To make a real difference?" Kurama's golden eyes shimmered, and her voice was steady as she replied. "You're already strong, Naruto. But strength isn't just about power. It's about heart, determination, and the willingness to stand up even when the odds are against you. And you have all of that in spades." Naruto smiled, a quiet confidence settling over him. "Thanks, Kurama-chan. I'll keep working hard, for you, for me, and for everyone who believes in us." Inside her cage, Kurama watched him with a rare sense of peace. For centuries, she had been a force feared and misunderstood, locked away and treated as nothing more than a weapon. But with Naruto, she had found something she hadn't thought possible, a true partner. "Rest well, Naruto," she said, her voice softer than ever. "Tomorrow, we'll face whatever comes next. Together." As the night deepened, the bond between Naruto and Kurama glowed brighter than the stars above, a partnership forged in trials and triumphs, destined to change the world. Together, they were unstoppable. Chapter 16, The First Steps Forward. The sun rose over Konoha with a brilliant glow, its warm light spilling across the village and into Training Ground 3, where Naruto stood. His stance was steady, his eyes clear, and his chest filled with quiet determination. The challenges he had overcome weren't just tests of strength or skill, they were proof of how much he had grown alongside Kurama. Inside his mind, Kurama stirred, her golden eyes observing him with a mix of pride and amusement. "Standing there like some kind of hero already? Don't tell me you're getting cocky, brat." Naruto grinned, stretching his arms behind his head. "Not cocky, Kurama-chan. Just, ready. For whatever comes next." Kurama huffed, though her voice carried a rare warmth. "Good. Because from here on out, the challenges won't just be about power, they'll test your heart, your will, and everything you've built so far." Naruto's grin softened, his expression growing thoughtful. "I know. And I'm ready for it. I'm not just doing this for me anymore. I'm doing it for you, for everyone who's counting on me." "Humph," Kurama said, her tail swishing behind her. "Let's see if you can back those words up." Naruto spent the morning refining his techniques, testing the limits of his control over Kurama's chakra. He summoned clones to spar with, each one mimicking his movements and pushing him to adapt. The fiery orange aura of Kurama's energy flickered around him, steady and controlled, as he moved through the clearing with precision. Inside his mind, Kurama observed his progress, her expression contemplative. His movements are sharper, more deliberate. He's finally starting to fight like someone who knows what they're doing. Naruto leapt into the air, forming a Rasengan infused with Kurama's chakra. The sphere blazed brighter than ever before as he hurled it at a target, the impact sending shockwaves through the clearing. When the dust settled, the target was obliterated, and Naruto landed gracefully, a satisfied grin on his face. "Not bad, huh?" he said, brushing dirt off his jacket. "Not bad," Kurama admitted, though her tone was teasing. "For a human." Naruto laughed, shaking his head. "I'll take that as a compliment." As the day wore on, Naruto found himself reflecting on everything he had learned. The bond he shared with Kurama wasn't just about power, it was about trust, understanding, and partnership. For years, he had thought of Kurama as a burden, a force to be contained. But now, he saw her for what she truly was, a friend. "Hey, Kurama-chan," he said, his voice quiet but steady. "Thanks for everything." Kurama's golden eyes softened, and she let out a quiet sigh. "Don't get all sentimental on me, brat. But, you're welcome." Naruto's grin widened, and he leaned back against a tree, gazing up at the sky. "We've come a long way, huh?" "We have," Kurama replied, her voice carrying a rare note of sincerity. "But there's still more to do. This village, this world, they're counting on us. And we can't afford to let them down." Naruto nodded, his expression turning serious. "We won't. I promise." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the village in warm hues of orange and pink, Naruto sat in quiet contemplation. The challenges ahead were daunting, but he knew he wasn't facing them alone. With Kurama by his side, he felt ready to take on anything. Inside her cage, Kurama watched over him, her golden eyes filled with a quiet determination. "This boy. He's stronger than I ever expected. And maybe, just maybe, he'll be the one to change everything." As the stars began to dot the night sky, Naruto closed his eyes, a peaceful smile on his face. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new battles, and new opportunities to grow. But for now, he rested, secure in the bond he had forged with Kurama, a partnership that would shape the future of the world. Together, they were unstoppable. Chapter 17, Shadows of the Past. The first light of dawn crept over Konoha, bathing the village in golden hues. Naruto stood at the edge of Training Ground 3, his arms crossed as he stared into the distance. He was unusually quiet this morning, his expression thoughtful as if the calm masked an undercurrent of tension. Inside his mind, Kurama's voice broke the silence, her tone laced with curiosity. "What's with the brooding, brat? Don't tell me you've already forgotten yesterday's progress." Naruto sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "It's not that, Kurama-chan. I've been thinking about everything we've been through. About where we started and how far we've come." "Oh, great. The brat's getting sentimental again," Kurama teased, though there was a softer edge to her words. "What brought this on?" Naruto shifted his weight, his gaze unwavering. "I don't know. I guess I just feel like I'm finally starting to understand what it means to carry this power, and the responsibility that comes with it. But, sometimes I wonder if I'm ready for what's next." Kurama's golden eyes softened, and her voice grew serious. "You're stronger than you think, Naruto. But if you want to keep moving forward, you'll need to confront what's holding you back. There's more to this than just training and fighting, you need to face the parts of yourself you've been avoiding." Naruto frowned, his jaw tightening. "What do you mean?" "You fought your doubts and fears before, but there's still something deeper, something you've buried so far down that even I can barely sense it. If you're serious about growing stronger, you'll need to confront it." Naruto hesitated, his fists clenching at his sides. He had always prided himself on his resilience, his ability to push through anything. But Kurama's words struck a nerve, and he couldn't shake the feeling that she was right. "All right," he said quietly, his voice steady despite the knot in his chest. "How do we do this?" Kurama's golden eyes gleamed, her expression unreadable. "Close your eyes, brat. This isn't something you can face here. We're going deeper, into the parts of your mind you've kept locked away." Naruto sat cross-legged in the clearing, his eyes closed as he focused on Kurama's voice. The familiar hum of chakra enveloped him, but this time, it felt different, heavier, more intense. He felt himself sinking, the world around him fading as he descended into the depths of his own mind. When he opened his eyes, he was standing in a dark, endless expanse. Shadows swirled around him, their movements slow and deliberate. In the distance, a faint glow caught his attention. "What is this place?" Naruto asked, his voice echoing in the emptiness. This is where you've locked away the memories and feelings you don't want to face, Kurama explained, her voice low. The parts of yourself you've tried to forget. Naruto took a deep breath, his resolve hardening. Alright. Let's do this. He walked toward the glow, each step feeling heavier than the last. The shadows seemed to thicken around him, their whispers growing louder. He caught snippets of words, faint, distorted echoes of his own voice. I'm not good enough. They don't need me. What if I fail? Naruto gritted his teeth, his heart pounding as the words clawed at his mind. But he kept moving, the glow growing brighter until it revealed a small, familiar figure. It was him, a younger version of himself, sitting alone in the darkness. His arms were wrapped around his knees, his face buried as he trembled. Naruto's chest tightened at the sight. Is that, me? Yes, Kurama said softly. The part of you that still feels like the scared, lonely kid who didn't belong. The part you've been trying to leave behind. Naruto knelt beside his younger self, his voice gentle. Hey, it's okay. You don't have to hide anymore. The younger Naruto looked up, his wide, tear-filled eyes meeting his older self's. You don't understand. No matter how strong I get, it's never enough. They'll never see me for who I really am. Naruto swallowed hard, his own doubts rising to the surface. But he forced himself to speak, his voice steady. That's not true. We've come so far, not just in strength, but in everything. People do see us now. They believe in us. The younger Naruto shook his head, his voice barely above a whisper. But what if I mess it all up? Naruto reached out, placing a hand on his younger self's shoulder. Then we'll get back up and try again. That's what we do, isn't it? We don't give up, no matter how hard it gets. The younger Naruto hesitated, his trembling beginning to subside. Slowly, he nodded, his tear-streaked face softening. Okay. The shadows around them began to dissolve, the darkness giving way to light. Naruto stood, his younger self fading as the glow enveloped them both. He felt a sense of peace wash over him, as though a weight he hadn't realized he was carrying had finally lifted. When Naruto opened his eyes, he was back in the clearing, the warmth of the morning sun on his face. He took a deep breath, a small smile tugging at his lips. Thanks, Kurama-chan, he said softly. For helping me face that. Kurama's voice was quiet, but there was a rare tenderness in her tone. You did the hard part, Naruto. You're stronger than you know, and not just because of me. Naruto chuckled, his smile widening. I guess we really are a team, huh? Don't get all sappy on me, Kurama teased, though her words lacked their usual bite. But, yeah. We are. As the day stretched ahead of him, Naruto felt a renewed sense of purpose. The shadows of his past no longer held him back. With Kurama by his side, he was ready to face whatever challenges the future had in store. Chapter 18, The Awakening. The morning sun hung low over Konoha, casting long shadows across Training Ground 3 as Naruto paced back and forth. His hands were clasped behind his head, his expression thoughtful. After confronting the younger version of himself deep within his mind, a weight he hadn't fully understood had been lifted. But now, he felt something new, a quiet, buzzing energy beneath the surface, as if something had awakened inside him. Kurama-chan, he said finally, breaking the silence. Something feels different. Like I'm stronger, but not in the usual way. What's going on? Inside his mind, Kurama stretched lazily, her golden eyes fixed on him with curiosity. That's because you are stronger, Naruto. You've cleared the mental block that's been holding you back. And with it gone, you're finally able to access my power at its fullest. Naruto stopped pacing, his eyes widening. Wait, you mean I can use all of your chakra now? Not just chakra, Kurama replied, her tone serious. We're resonating completely for the first time. That means you can tap into abilities you couldn't even imagine before. But be warned, brat, power like this comes with responsibility. If you lose focus for even a second, it could overwhelm you. Naruto clenched his fists, determination flashing in his eyes. Then I'll make sure I don't lose focus. Let's test it out, Kurama-chan. Show me what I can do. Always so eager to jump in head first, Kurama muttered, though her tone carried a hint of amusement. Fine. But don't come crying to me if you end up flat on your back. The clearing transformed once again, the peaceful training ground shifting into a vast expanse of rocky terrain. The air around Naruto buzzed with energy, and he could feel the weight of Kurama's power pressing against his senses. All right, he muttered, taking a deep breath to steady himself. Let's do this. Start by drawing out the full extent of my chakra, Kurama instructed. Let it flow through you, but keep it steady. If you try to force it, you'll lose control. Naruto nodded, closing his eyes as he focused inward. The fiery orange glow of Kurama's chakra surged around him, brighter and more intense than ever before. It wrapped around him like a second skin, flickering like flames as it settled into a steady rhythm. When he opened his eyes, they glowed with the same golden hue as Kurama's. His senses sharpened, and he felt the ground beneath his feet as if it were an extension of himself. Every sound, every movement in the air was clearer, more vivid. This is incredible, he said softly, his voice filled with awe. Don't get distracted, brat, Kurama warned. You're only scratching the surface. Try focusing that energy into a specific form, a technique that embodies both your strength and mine. Naruto furrowed his brow, raising his hands as he concentrated. The chakra swirled around him, forming a sphere in his palm. It was similar to the Rasengan, but larger, more volatile. As he poured more energy into it, the sphere grew, its surface crackling with raw power. Whoa, Naruto muttered, his heart racing. This is something else. It's not done yet, Kurama said, her voice steady. Shape it. Give it purpose. This isn't just an attack, it's a manifestation of our bond. Make it count. Naruto nodded, his focus sharpening as he molded the chakra. The sphere shifted, its edges smoothing until it resembled a blazing orb of light. He felt the resonance between him and Kurama grow stronger, the energy humming with an almost sentient awareness. All right, Kurama-chan, he said, a grin spreading across his face. Let's see what this can do. He hurled the orb toward a distant boulder, the sheer force of the throw causing the ground beneath him to tremble. The orb collided with the boulder, and the resulting explosion lit up the entire clearing. When the dust settled, the boulder was gone, reduced to nothing but fragments scattered across the ground. Naruto stared at the destruction, his chest heaving. That was amazing. Not bad, Kurama admitted, though her tone carried a hint of pride. But don't think you've mastered it yet. This kind of power requires more than just strength, it requires precision, control, and discipline. Naruto's grin widened, and he nodded. I'll keep working on it, Kurama-chan. We've come this far together, I'm not stopping now. As the day wore on, Naruto continued to refine his new abilities under Kurama's guidance. Each technique he practiced pushed him further, testing the limits of his endurance and focus. By the time the sun began to set, casting the clearing in warm hues of orange and pink, he was exhausted but exhilarated. Sitting on the grass, Naruto gazed up at the sky, a contented smile on his face. Hey, Kurama-chan, he said softly. Do you think this is what it means to truly be strong? Not just in power, but in everything else too. Kurama's golden eyes shimmered, and her voice was calm but firm. True strength isn't just about power, Naruto. It's about heart, resilience, and the ability to keep moving forward no matter what. And you've got all of that, and more. Naruto's smile widened, and he leaned back against the tree, his eyes fluttering closed. Thanks, Kurama-chan. For everything. Inside her cage, Kurama watched him with a rare sense of peace. Rest well, Naruto. Tomorrow, we'll push even further. Together, we'll show the world what true strength looks like. As the stars began to dot the night sky, Naruto drifted into a deep, peaceful sleep. Chapter 19, The Call of Destiny. The first rays of sunlight pierced the sky, casting a golden glow over Konoha. Naruto stood at the edge of Training Ground 3, his fiery orange aura faintly shimmering in the dawn's light. The bond he shared with Kurama felt stronger than ever, a steady presence in his mind that gave him both confidence and clarity. Today, however, the air was different, charged, expectant, as though the world itself was holding its breath. Kurama-chan, Naruto said softly, his voice steady but laced with curiosity, something feels off. Do you sense it? Inside his mind, Kurama stirred, her golden eyes narrowing. I do, she replied, her tone serious. It's faint, but there's a disturbance in the flow of chakra around us. Something, or someone, is drawing near. Naruto's fists clenched, his senses sharpening. What do you think it is? An enemy? Possibly, Kurama said, her voice calm but firm. Or it could be an opportunity. Either way, stay alert. We don't know what we're dealing with yet. Naruto nodded, his body tense but ready. He closed his eyes, focusing on the energy around him. The hum of life in the village, the rustle of leaves in the trees, it all felt normal, but beneath it was an undercurrent of something foreign, something powerful. The stillness was broken by a sudden gust of wind, swirling leaves around him in a chaotic dance. Naruto opened his eyes just as a figure stepped into the clearing, a tall, hooded individual, their face obscured but their presence commanding. Who are you? Naruto called out, his voice firm. What do you want? The figure didn't respond immediately. They stood still, the tension in the air thickening. Then, in a voice low and resonant, they spoke. Uzumaki Naruto. The boy who tamed the nine tails. Naruto's eyes narrowed, and Kurama growled in his mind. Be careful, brat. This one knows more than they're letting on. Yeah, that's me, Naruto replied, his tone steady. And you are? The figure pulled back their hood, revealing a sharp, angular face and piercing silver eyes. My name is Ryujin, and I've come to test you. Test me? Naruto frowned, taking a step forward. What are you talking about? Ryujin's gaze didn't waver. You've grown strong, but strength is not enough. If you truly wish to protect this world, you must prove that you are worthy of the power you wield. Naruto bristled, his fists clenching. And who are you to decide that? Ryujin raised a hand, and the air around them seemed to ripple. I am a guardian of balance, tasked with ensuring that power remains in the hands of those who can wield it wisely. If you fail this test, I will take the nine tails from you. Kurama's growl echoed louder in Naruto's mind. Over my dead body. Who does this fool think they are? Naruto's voice rose, anger flaring in his chest. You're not taking anything. Kurama-chan and I are a team, and no one's going to separate us. Ryujin's expression remained unreadable. Then prove it. With a flick of their wrist, the ground beneath Naruto trembled. Jagged pillars of stone erupted from the earth, encircling the clearing and creating a battlefield that pulsed with energy. Naruto leapt back, his fiery aura flaring as he prepared for the fight. The first strike came without warning, a blast of energy that tore through the air toward Naruto. He dodged, the force of the attack grazing his shoulder and leaving a searing heat in its wake. Not bad, Naruto muttered, his grin sharp. But you'll have to do better than that. He charged, his movements swift and deliberate as he closed the gap between them. Channeling Kurama's chakra, he formed a Rasengan in his palm, its glow fierce and vibrant. He thrust it toward Ryujin, but the stranger deflected it effortlessly, the energy dispersing into the air. "You'll need more than brute force," Ryujin said, their voice calm. "Show me the bond you claim to have." Naruto gritted his teeth, leaping back to reassess. "Kurama-chan, any ideas?" "Stop playing around," Kurama snapped. "Tap into our full power. Trust me to guide you." Naruto nodded, closing his eyes briefly to focus. The fiery orange chakra around him surged, intensifying as it merged with Kurama's energy. When he opened his eyes, they glowed with a golden hue, his movements now fluid and precise. "Let's do this," he said, his voice steady. The battle intensified, each clash sending shockwaves through the clearing. Ryujin's attacks were relentless, but Naruto moved with purpose, his strikes sharp and calculated. He could feel Kurama guiding him, their bond strengthening with every move. As the fight wore on, Ryujin's attacks grew more erratic, as though they were testing not just Naruto's strength but his resolve. Each time Naruto faltered, he found himself relying on Kurama's energy to push through, their partnership shining brighter with every step. Finally, Naruto saw an opening. Channeling their combined energy, he formed a massive Rasengan, its glow illuminating the battlefield. With a roar, he launched the attack, the sphere colliding with Ryujin in a blinding explosion. When the dust settled, Ryujin stood at the edge of the battlefield, unharmed but visibly impressed. "You've proven yourself, Naruto Uzumaki. The bond you share with the Nine Tails is unlike anything I've seen before." Naruto straightened, his chest heaving as he caught his breath. "So, what now?" Ryujin nodded. "Now, you continue to grow. The challenges you face will only become greater, but I have no doubt that you will rise to meet them." With that, Ryujin turned and disappeared into the swirling wind, leaving Naruto standing in the clearing, his heart pounding but his spirit unwavering. As the evening settled over Konoha, Naruto sat beneath a tree, gazing up at the stars. Inside his mind, Kurama spoke, her voice softer than usual. "You handled yourself well today, brat. I'm proud of you." Naruto smiled, his eyes shimmering. "Thanks, Kurama-chan. I couldn't have done it without you." "Don't let it go to your head," she teased, though her tone carried a hint of warmth. "But, yeah. We make a good team." Chapter 20, The Power of Two. The dawn over Konoha was unusually serene, the air crisp and filled with the faint hum of life. Naruto stood at the edge of the Hokage monument, gazing down at the village he had always sworn to protect. After the test with Ryujin, something in him had shifted, he felt lighter, more assured, as if the doubts that once clouded his heart had finally dissipated. "Kurama-chan," he said, his voice steady, "we've come a long way, haven't we?" Inside his mind, Kurama stretched lazily, her golden eyes watching him with a rare sense of peace. "We have, brat. But don't think for a second that this is the end. The path ahead is still long, and filled with challenges you can't even imagine yet." Naruto grinned, a spark of determination lighting up his face. "I wouldn't have it any other way." "Humph," Kurama replied, though her tone was teasing. "Good. Because today, we're taking your training to the next level." Naruto's eyes widened, and he turned his gaze inward. "Wait, next level? What are you planning, Kurama-chan?" Kurama's tails swayed behind her, her expression unreadable but her voice carrying a hint of mischief. "We're going to unlock the full potential of our power. No more holding back." Naruto's heart raced, equal parts excitement and apprehension. "All right," he said, clenching his fists. "Let's do it." The training ground was empty, save for Naruto, who stood in the center with his fiery orange aura flaring around him. Kurama's chakra hummed through his veins, its power steady and resonant. But today, it felt different, denser, more focused. "First things first," Kurama said, her tone firm. "You've learned to control my chakra, but now we're going to fuse it with your own. This isn't about dominance, it's about unity. Think of it as merging two rivers into one. Naruto nodded, closing his eyes as he focused inward. He visualized the flow of his chakra, bright and lively, intertwining with Kurama's powerful, fiery energy. At first, the two forces clashed, the differences in their nature causing ripples of instability. But Naruto took a deep breath, calming his mind and letting their energies blend naturally. Slowly, the two chakras began to harmonize, their combined power radiating through him like a steady heartbeat. Naruto's aura shifted, its fiery orange glow tinged with streaks of gold, brighter and more vibrant than ever before. "This feels amazing," he murmured, his voice filled with awe. "Don't get distracted," Kurama chided, though her tone carried a hint of pride. "This is only the beginning. Now, show me what you can do with it." Naruto grinned, forming a Rasengan in his hand. The sphere glowed brilliantly, its surface crackling with energy. But this time, he didn't stop there. Channeling their combined power, he shaped the Rasengan into a massive orb, its edges swirling with golden flames. "All right, Kurama-chan," he said, his voice steady. "Let's see how far we can push this." He hurled the orb toward a distant boulder, the force of the throw sending shockwaves through the clearing. The impact obliterated the boulder, leaving a deep crater in the ground. Naruto stood frozen for a moment, staring at the destruction with wide eyes. "Whoa," he said softly. "That was insane." "Not bad," Kurama said, her voice laced with approval. "But there's more to our power than just destruction. Now that our chakras are fully resonating, you can channel it into techniques that embody more than raw strength." Naruto furrowed his brow, his curiosity piqued. "What do you mean?" "Think," Kurama replied. "What drives you, Naruto? What do you fight for? Let that shape your next move." Naruto closed his eyes, his mind racing. Images of his friends, his village, and all the people who had believed in him flashed before him. He thought of the bond he shared with Kurama, the trust they had built through trials and hardships. When he opened his eyes, they glowed with a golden light, his determination burning brighter than ever. "I fight to protect," he said, his voice steady. "To keep everyone safe, no matter what." Kurama's golden eyes softened, and her voice carried a rare warmth. "Then show me what that looks like, brat." Naruto brought his hands together, channeling their combined energy into a shield of golden chakra that surrounded him. The barrier pulsed with life, its surface shimmering like sunlight on water. He stepped forward, the shield moving with him, its strength unyielding. "This feels right," he said, a small smile tugging at his lips. "It's not just about fighting, it's about protecting what matters." "Exactly," Kurama said, her tone filled with pride. "You're finally starting to understand what true strength looks like." By the time the sun began to set, Naruto was exhausted but exhilarated. He stood at the edge of the training ground, gazing out at the horizon with a sense of peace he hadn't felt in years. "Kurama-chan," he said softly, "thank you. For everything. I couldn't have done any of this without you." Inside his mind, Kurama watched him with a small smile, her golden eyes shimmering. "You're a pain, Naruto. But, you're my pain. And I wouldn't trade this for anything." Naruto chuckled, his smile widening. "Same here, Kurama-chan. Same here." As the stars began to dot the night sky, Naruto sat beneath a tree, his heart filled with quiet determination. The bond he shared with Kurama had reached new heights, their combined strength a beacon of hope for the challenges ahead. Together, they were unstoppable. And for the first time, Naruto felt truly ready for whatever the future held. Chapter 21, A New Dawn. The first light of dawn crept over Konoha, spilling golden rays across the rooftops and filling the village with a quiet serenity. Naruto stood atop the Hokage monument, his orange jacket rippling in the breeze. Below him, the village began to stir with the sounds of mourning, children laughing, merchants opening their stalls, and shinobi preparing for the day ahead. Yet, for all the peace surrounding him, Naruto's mind was alive with thoughts of the future. "Kurama-chan," he said softly, his voice breaking the silence. "What do you think is waiting for us out there?" Inside his mind, Kurama stretched lazily, her golden eyes glimmering with amusement. "Why are you asking me, brat? You're the one who keeps charging ahead without a plan." Naruto chuckled, crossing his arms. "Yeah, but you're the wise one, right? You've been around way longer than me." Kurama huffed, though her tone carried a rare note of warmth. "Wisdom doesn't come from how long you've lived, Naruto. It comes from how much you've learned. And if I've learned anything, it's that the future is what you make of it." Naruto's grin softened, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "Then we'll make it a good one. Together." The day began with a quiet buzz of excitement. Word had spread throughout the village that Naruto was holding a demonstration at Training Ground 3. While the reason remained a mystery, a crowd of shinobi and civilians alike gathered, eager to see what the hero of the Fourth Great Ninja War had in store. Naruto stood at the center of the clearing, his fiery orange aura flickering faintly as he prepared himself. He felt the weight of every gaze on him, but instead of nervousness, he felt a steady confidence, an unshakable belief in the bond he shared with Kurama. Inside his mind, Kurama spoke, her voice firm but encouraging. "This isn't just about showing off, brat. It's about showing them what's possible when trust and strength come together. Don't mess it up." Naruto smirked, clenching his fists. "I got this, Kurama-chan. Let's show them what we can do." With a deep breath, he stepped forward, his voice carrying across the crowd. "Everyone, thank you for coming. I've been training harder than ever with Kurama, and today, I want to share what we've accomplished. Not just to show how far we've come, but to remind all of you what it means to fight for what matters." The crowd murmured in anticipation as Naruto brought his hands together, channeling Kurama's chakra. The fiery orange aura around him surged, tinged with streaks of gold as their combined energy resonated. The ground beneath him trembled slightly, the sheer intensity of the chakra palpable even to the untrained eye. Naruto raised his hands, forming a massive Rasengan infused with golden flames. The sphere pulsed with life, its energy radiating outward in waves. He turned to a line of boulders set up as targets, each one towering over him. "Here we go," he shouted, hurling the Rasengan forward. The sphere streaked through the air like a comet, colliding with the boulders in a deafening explosion. When the dust settled, the targets were gone, reduced to rubble. The crowd erupted into cheers, their voices echoing across the clearing. But Naruto wasn't done yet. "All right, Kurama-chan," he said, his voice low but steady. "Let's show them the shield." "Don't overdo it, brat," Kurama replied, though her tone carried a hint of pride. Naruto brought his hands together again, channeling their combined energy into a glowing barrier of golden chakra. The shield surrounded him, shimmering like sunlight on water. He stepped forward, the barrier moving with him, its strength unyielding. As kunai were thrown at the barrier by a group of volunteer shinobi, each one was deflected harmlessly. The crowd watched in awe as the barrier held, its glow unwavering. "This isn't just my power," Naruto said, his voice carrying across the clearing. "It's Kurama's too. Together, we're stronger than ever, and that's what I want all of you to see. True strength doesn't come from fighting alone. It comes from working together, trusting each other, and never giving up." As the crowd began to disperse, many stopping to congratulate Naruto, he stood off to the side, catching his breath. The day's events had left him exhilarated but drained, his energy ebbing as the adrenaline faded. Inside his mind, Kurama spoke, her voice softer than usual. "You did well, Naruto. Better than I expected." Naruto grinned, his chest swelling with pride. "Thanks, Kurama-chan. I couldn't have done it without you. Obviously, she replied, though her tone carried a rare warmth. But don't let it go to your head. This is just the beginning. There's still a lot left to do. Naruto's smile softened, his gaze turning toward the horizon. Yeah. But whatever comes next, we'll face it together. Right? Kurama's golden eyes shimmered, and she let out a quiet sigh. Right. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Naruto sat atop the Hokage monument once more. The village below him was alive with light and laughter, a reminder of everything he was fighting to protect. Hey, Kurama-chan, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Do you think we've made a difference? Kurama's voice was calm, her words steady. More than you know, brat. And we're just getting started. Naruto smiled, his heart light. For the first time, he felt truly at peace, not because the challenges were over, but because he knew he wouldn't face them alone. Together, he and Kurama were unstoppable, their bond unbreakable. Chapter 22, Legends in the Making. The early morning mist hung low over Konoha, shrouding the village in a quiet calm. Naruto stood in training ground 3, the faint glow of his orange and gold aura flickering around him. His stance was steady, his breathing controlled, and his expression sharp. The events of the previous day had ignited a fire within him, a desire to push even further, to see just how far he and Kurama could go. Kurama-chan, he said, his voice cutting through the stillness, I've been thinking. If we've already unlocked so much of our potential, is there more? Is there something we haven't tapped into yet? Inside his mind, Kurama's golden eyes narrowed thoughtfully. There's always more, Naruto. But power isn't just about going further, it's about understanding what you've already achieved. If you can master the balance we've created, then yes, there's still more waiting for you. Naruto grinned, determination blazing in his eyes. Then let's find out. No holding back. The air crackled with energy as Naruto began his training. Kurama guided him through a series of advanced exercises, each one designed to test the limits of their resonance. The first involved refining his shield, turning it into something more than just a static barrier. Imagine it as an extension of yourself, Kurama instructed, her voice calm but firm. The shield isn't just for defense, it's a tool, a weapon. Shape it, mold it, and make it move with you. Naruto closed his eyes, focusing on the glowing chakra that surrounded him. He visualized the shield not as a fixed barrier, but as a fluid, adaptable force. Slowly, the shimmering energy began to shift, stretching and twisting until it resembled a pair of protective arms extending outward. Whoa, Naruto muttered, his voice filled with awe. It's alive. That's because it's an extension of you, and me, Kurama said, her tone carrying a hint of pride. Now, let's see how well you can use it. Naruto nodded, his focus sharpening as he moved through the clearing. The shield moved with him, blocking imaginary strikes and deflecting projectiles he hurled at himself using shadow clones. Each motion felt more natural than the last, the bond between him and Kurama strengthening with every step. By midday, Naruto had progressed to mastering a new technique that combined their powers. Drawing on Kurama's chakra and his own, he began to shape a weapon unlike any he had wielded before, a glowing spear of pure energy. This isn't just an attack, Kurama said. Her voice steady. It's a symbol of our partnership. If you can wield it, it'll show that you've truly mastered the balance between us. Naruto held the spear in his hands, its weightless form humming with power. He could feel the energy coursing through it, wild, untamed, yet entirely under his control. With a deep breath, he hurled the spear at a distant target, the resulting explosion lighting up the clearing. That was insane. Naruto exclaimed, his grin widening. We've gotta use this in a real fight, Kurama-chan. Don't get ahead of yourself, brat, Kurama replied, though her tone carried a note of amusement. You've barely scratched the surface. There's still more to learn before you're ready to show this off. Naruto chuckled, wiping sweat from his brow. Fine, fine. But you have to admit, that was pretty cool. As the day drew to a close, Naruto sat beneath a tree, his body aching but his heart full. The progress he had made felt monumental, a testament to the trust he and Kurama had built together. But as he gazed up at the sky, his thoughts drifted to the future. Kurama-chan, he said softly, do you think we'll ever reach a point where we don't need to train anymore? Where we've done enough? Kurama's golden eyes shimmered, and her voice was calm but firm. No. Because the moment you stop growing is the moment you start falling behind. Strength isn't a destination, it's a journey. And as long as you keep walking, there will always be more to achieve. Naruto nodded, a small smile tugging at his lips. I guess that's a good thing. I kinda like the idea of always getting better. As long as we're in this together, I'm good with it. Always, Kurama replied, her tone softer than usual. You're not just my vessel anymore, Naruto. You're my partner. And together, we're unstoppable. As the stars began to dot the night sky, Naruto leaned back against the tree, his eyes fluttering closed. The journey ahead was long, but he wasn't afraid. With Kurama by his side, he knew they could face anything the world threw at them. Inside her cage, Kurama watched over him, her expression unreadable but her thoughts clear. This brat, he's come so far. And yet, I can't help but feel like this is only the beginning. Together, they were legends in the making, a force destined to reshape the world. And as the night deepened, Naruto dreamed of the path ahead, his heart filled with hope, determination, and the unshakable bond he shared with Kurama. Chapter 23, A Ripple in the Calm. The sun rose lazily over Konoha, casting warm hues across the rooftops. Naruto stood at the training ground, stretching as the early morning light bathed him. His golden-orange aura flickered faintly, a constant reminder of the bond he shared with Kurama. The progress they'd made together was undeniable, yet Naruto's instincts told him that something was about to change. Kurama-chan, Naruto said, his voice breaking the quiet, don't you feel it? Something's off. Inside his mind, Kurama stirred, her golden eyes narrowing. I do. It's faint, but the balance around us feels disturbed. Someone, or something, is shifting the flow of chakra in this region. Naruto frowned, his fists clenching. You think it's a threat? Possibly, Kurama replied, her tone serious. But there's only one way to find out. Be ready for anything, Naruto. The tranquility of the training ground was shattered as a strange wind swept through, carrying with it a faint hum of energy. Naruto's senses sharpened, his gaze darting toward the tree-line. The hum grew louder, resonating like a pulse that vibrated through his very core. From the shadows emerged a figure cloaked in dark robes, their face obscured. Their presence was imposing, their movements deliberate as they stepped into the clearing. Naruto straightened, his golden-orange aura flaring. Who are you, and what do you want? The figure stopped a few paces away, their voice low and commanding. Naruto Uzumaki. The one who resonates with the nine tails. I've come to see if you're truly as formidable as they say. Naruto's fists tightened, his gaze unwavering. And who exactly is they? Why don't you stop hiding and tell me what this is about? The figure chuckled. The sound sending a chill through the air. My name is Soren, and I am a seeker of balance. Like Ryujin, I test those who wield great power. But unlike him, my methods are less forgiving. Naruto's jaw tightened, his instincts screaming danger. If you're here to cause trouble, you picked the wrong guy. I'm not about to let you hurt anyone. Soren raised a hand, and the air around them rippled with energy. Then show me. Prove that your bond with the nine tails is more than just borrowed strength. The battle began with a deafening roar as Soren unleashed a wave of energy that tore through the clearing. Naruto leapt into action, channeling Kurama's chakra as he dodged the attack. His fiery aura flared brighter, the golden streaks shimmering as he prepared to counter. "Kurama-chan," Naruto said, his voice steady but urgent, "this guy's no joke. What's the plan?" "Stay calm," Kurama replied, her tone sharp but composed. "He's testing your limits. Use what we've learned, precision, control, and balance. Don't let him dictate the fight." Naruto nodded, forming a Rasengan in his hand. The sphere blazed with golden flames as he charged at Soren, his movements fluid and deliberate. Soren countered with a blade of energy, their weapons clashing in a burst of light. The impact sent shockwaves through the clearing, forcing both combatants back. Naruto skidded to a halt, his breath coming in short bursts. "Not bad," Soren said, his tone devoid of emotion. "But raw power alone won't save you." Naruto smirked, his golden eyes glinting. "Good thing I'm not just about raw power." Summoning his shield, Naruto deflected Soren's next attack, the barrier moving seamlessly with him. He followed up with a barrage of shadow clones, each one wielding a smaller version of the Rasengan. The clones closed in from all sides, forcing Soren to go on the defensive. "Keep pressing, Naruto," Kurama urged. "He's powerful, but he's not invincible." Naruto's clones vanished one by one, their attacks absorbed by Soren's energy shield. But Naruto was already moving, his golden spear forming in his hand as he dashed forward. With a powerful thrust, he broke through Soren's shield, landing a direct hit. Soren stumbled back, his robe torn and his expression unreadable. "Impressive," he admitted, his voice softer now. "Your bond with the Nine Tails is stronger than I anticipated. But this is far from over." He raised his hand, and the ground beneath Naruto trembled. Pillars of stone shot up, encircling him in a makeshift arena. The air grew heavy, the hum of energy intensifying as Soren prepared his next move. Inside his mind, Kurama's voice was calm but urgent. "Stay focused, brat. He's trying to corner you. Use our full resonance, don't hold back." Naruto closed his eyes briefly, centering himself. When he opened them, his aura blazed brighter than ever, the golden flames dancing around him like a living force. He raised his hand, forming a Rasengan infused with their combined energy. But this time, he shaped it into something new, a spiraling sphere with streaks of gold and orange intertwining. "This is for all the people I'm fighting to protect," Naruto said, his voice steady. "Kurama-chan and I aren't just strong, we're unstoppable." He hurled the sphere toward Soren, the attack tearing through the pillars and colliding with a deafening explosion. When the dust settled, Soren stood in the rubble, his robe in tatters and his expression thoughtful. "You've passed," Soren said simply, lowering his hand. "Your bond with the Nine Tails is more than I expected. You've proven yourself worthy of the power you wield." Naruto straightened, his aura dimming as he caught his breath. "That's it? You come here, wreck my training ground, and then just leave?" Soren smiled faintly, his form beginning to fade. "You've earned my respect, Naruto Uzumaki. Continue to grow, there are greater challenges ahead." And with that, he vanished, leaving Naruto alone in the clearing. As the sun set over Konoha, Naruto sat beneath a tree, his body aching but his spirit unshaken. Inside his mind, Kurama's voice was softer than usual. "You did well, Naruto. Better than I expected." Naruto smiled, his golden eyes shimmering. "Thanks, Kurama-chan. I couldn't have done it without you." Obviously, Kurama teased, though her tone carried a hint of warmth. "But don't get too comfortable. There's always more to learn." Naruto chuckled, leaning back against the tree. "I wouldn't have it any other way." Chapter 24, The Gathering Storm. The sky over Konoha was painted in shades of gray, thick clouds looming as if foretelling an impending storm. Naruto stood atop the Hokage monument, his golden-orange aura faintly flickering in the cold breeze. He had spent the morning lost in thought, the encounter with Soren still fresh in his mind. Each test he faced seemed to reveal something new, not just about his strength, but about the world and the challenges that awaited him. "Kurama-chan," Naruto said, his voice steady but contemplative, "do you think this is all leading to something bigger? First Ryujin, now Soren, it's like they're trying to prepare us for something." Inside his mind, Kurama's golden eyes glowed faintly as she regarded him. "You're not wrong, brat. These so-called guardians aren't testing you for fun. They see something coming, and they're making sure you're ready for it." Naruto clenched his fists, his gaze unwavering. "Then we'd better be ready. Whatever it is, I'm not letting it hurt the people I care about." Kurama huffed, though there was a note of pride in her voice. "Good. That's the attitude I like to see. But don't let your guard down. The bigger the storm, the stronger we'll need to be." By midday, Naruto was back at Training Ground 3, the once-scarred clearing now repaired and bustling with activity. A group of shinobi had gathered, including his friends and teammates. Kakashi, Sakura, and Sai stood among them, their expressions curious as they watched Naruto prepare. "All right, everyone." Naruto called out, his voice carrying across the clearing. "Today's training isn't just for me, it's for all of us. If we're going to face whatever's coming, we need to be stronger together." Sakura crossed her arms, her eyes narrowing with determination. "What kind of training are we talking about, Naruto? And don't say something reckless." Naruto grinned, rubbing the back of his head. "It's not reckless, it's awesome. Trust me." Kakashi's visible eye curved into a smile. "Well, this should be interesting." Naruto stepped forward, summoning his golden-orange aura. The energy swirled around him, its intensity drawing gasps from the crowd. "Kurama-chan and I have been working on something new," he explained. "It's a way to combine our power with teamwork. But to test it, I'm gonna need all of you to give it your best shot." The shinobi exchanged glances, their curiosity turning to excitement. Sai stepped forward, his expression calm but intrigued. "Then let's see what you've got, Naruto." The training began with Naruto at the center of the clearing, his aura blazing as the others surrounded him. Each shinobi attacked in turn, testing his defenses with kunai, jutsu, and close combat. Naruto's shield moved with him, deflecting blows and absorbing chakra-based attacks. "Not bad," Sakura muttered, leaping into the fray. She unleashed a flurry of punches, each one calculated to test his reflexes. Naruto blocked her strikes with ease, his movements fluid and precise. "Whoa, Naruto," she said, stepping back. "You've really improved." Naruto grinned, his eyes glowing faintly. "Thanks, Sakura-chan. But this is just the warm-up." With a burst of energy, Naruto summoned his golden spear, its surface crackling with power. He used it to deflect a barrage of ink beasts from Sai, his movements a blur as he danced through the attacks. "Impressive," Sai said, his usually monotone voice tinged with admiration. Kakashi was the last to step forward, his Sharingan spinning as he assessed Naruto's abilities. "You've come a long way, Naruto," he said, forming a string of hand signs. "Let's see how you handle this." A wall of lightning shot toward Naruto, its crackling energy filling the air. Naruto's shield expanded, its golden glow intensifying as it absorbed the attack. With a roar, he redirected the energy, sending it harmlessly into the sky. The clearing fell silent, the shinobi watching in awe as Naruto stood at the center, his aura dimming. He wiped sweat from his brow, a triumphant grin spreading across his face. "That's what I'm talking about," he said, his voice ringing with excitement. "When we work together, there's nothing we can't handle." As the crowd began to disperse, Kakashi approached Naruto, his expression thoughtful. You've really grown, Naruto. But don't let your success make you complacent. If what you're saying is true, and these guardians are testing you for something bigger, then we need to be ready for anything. Naruto nodded, his grin softening. I know, Kakashi-sensei. And I won't stop until I'm ready to protect everyone. That evening, Naruto sat beneath a tree at the edge of the training ground, the cool night air brushing against his skin. Inside his mind, Kurama spoke, her voice calm but resolute. You're starting to understand, Naruto. Strength isn't just about power, it's about how you use it to protect what matters. Naruto leaned back, his gaze fixed on the stars. And it's not just about me, Kurama-chan. It's about us, about everyone. If we're going to face what's coming, we'll do it together. Kurama's golden eyes softened, her tail swaying behind her. You've come a long way, brat. But remember, this is only the beginning. Naruto smiled, his heart filled with quiet determination. I wouldn't have it any other way. Chapter 25, Unbreakable Bonds. The dawn of a new day arrived with an air of anticipation, the first light spilling over the village of Konoha like a promise. Naruto stood at the heart of Training Ground 3, his golden-orange aura glowing faintly in the early light. Today wasn't just another day of training or another test. Today felt final, as though everything he and Kurama had fought for was building to this moment. Inside his mind, Kurama stirred, her golden eyes fixed on him. You feel it too, don't you, brat? This isn't just any day. Naruto nodded, his hands clenching into fists. Yeah. It feels like the end of something. Or maybe the start of something bigger. It's both, Kurama replied, her voice softer than usual. We've come far, Naruto. Farther than I ever thought possible. But this is the moment where everything we've built together will be tested. Naruto grinned, his determination burning brighter than the sunrise. Then let's show the world what we're made of, Kurama-chan. Together. The training ground wasn't empty this time. Kakashi, Sakura, Sai, Shikamaru, Hinata, and many others had gathered to witness whatever Naruto had planned. The atmosphere was electric, a mixture of curiosity and excitement filling the air. Kakashi stepped forward, his visible eye crinkling with a smile. So, Naruto, what's this all about? Another one of your big demonstrations? Naruto chuckled, rubbing the back of his head. Something like that. But this time, it's different. Kurama-chan and we've reached a point where we're not just training anymore. We're showing what's possible when two people, no, two souls, truly work as one. Sakura crossed her arms, her expression both skeptical and intrigued. Sounds like you're aiming to make history again. Naruto's grin widened. You could say that. As the group watched, Naruto stepped into the center of the clearing. He closed his eyes, drawing on the bond he shared with Kurama. The fiery orange aura around him surged, its intensity growing as streaks of gold intertwined with the flames. The ground beneath him trembled, the sheer power radiating outward in waves. Inside his mind, Kurama's voice was steady but filled with pride. This is it, Naruto. Everything we've worked for. Let it all out, show them who we are. Naruto opened his eyes, their golden glow reflecting the light of his aura. He raised his hands, summoning a massive sphere of chakra that crackled with raw energy. But instead of unleashing it as an attack, he molded it, shaping it into something new, a brilliant, shimmering construct that took the form of a giant, ethereal fox. Gasps rippled through the crowd as the construct moved, its golden tails swaying behind it. The fox stood tall, its presence both majestic and powerful. A testament to the unity between Naruto and Kurama. This isn't just my power, Naruto said, his voice carrying across the clearing. This is our power, Kurama's and mine. Together, we've learned that strength isn't about fighting alone. It's about trusting each other, pushing each other, and never giving up. The fox construct roared, its voice resonating through the clearing and sending a wave of energy rippling outward. But instead of destruction, the energy felt warm, protective, and alive. The crowd watched in awe, their faces reflecting a mixture of admiration and hope. Kakashi stepped forward, his gaze thoughtful. You've done something incredible, Naruto. This isn't just power, it's a bond. And it's unlike anything I've ever seen. Naruto smiled, his chest swelling with pride. Thanks, Kakashi-sensei. But this isn't the end, it's just the beginning. As the sun began to set, casting the training ground in warm hues of orange and pink, the crowd slowly dispersed. Naruto stood beneath a tree, his aura dimmed but his spirit soaring. Inside his mind, Kurama spoke, her voice carrying a rare note of emotion. You've done it, Naruto. You've proven not just to them, but to me, that we're more than just partners. We're family. Naruto's eyes softened, his grin fading into a gentle smile. You're not just my partner, Kurama-chan. You're my best friend. And I'll never take that for granted. Kurama huffed, though her golden eyes shimmered with warmth. Don't get all mushy on me, brat. But, thank you. For everything. Naruto chuckled, leaning back against the tree as he gazed up at the stars. This is just the start, Kurama-chan. Whatever's coming, we'll face it together. I promise. Always, Kurama replied, her voice steady and filled with resolve. As the night deepened, Naruto closed his eyes, a sense of peace washing over him. The bond he shared with Kurama had transcended power, becoming something far greater, a testament to trust, unity, and friendship. And as the stars twinkled above, Naruto dreamed of the future, his heart filled with hope. Together, he and Kurama were unstoppable. Together, they were a force of nature, destined to protect the world and shape its future. Whatever lay ahead, Naruto and Kurama would face it side by side. And in that moment, under the vast, star-filled sky, they were truly complete. The end. Thank you for listening to my story to the end.